It's a bar. A night in with Mauler and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen dinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop up the cork, have a glass of wine, but they'll say I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, Mauler and the critical drinker.
Yes, that is us. We're here once again. Welcome.
Hello.
We made our cue and welcome everybody because we started open bar on time for once. I'll drink to that. Thank you.
This is 9:01 to me, but it's close enough.
The intro had to run.
All right, fine.
The actual stream kicked off exactly on 9 o'clock, and I think that's worthy of a celebration.
I like the idea of the actual bar, like they're waiting for the doors to open, but you have to play our little video first before the doors open. Watch the fucking video.
I play that before I go into every pub. It's like annoys the hell out of the bar owner, but you know.
Carried in like a fucking old TV as it's playing. Like, yeah.
Everyone who nobody there knows who I am, and they're like, "What is this moron doing?"
Bartender's like, "Oh, for fuck's sake,
it's him again." Well, anyway, we are here, and it's open bar number 95 from the great old year of 1995. Are you ready for a couple of little facts that I was able to dig up about this year?
So ready.
I'm going to hit you with it. Well, in the year of our Lord 1995, O.J. Simpson was acquitted. Nice one, O.J., I guess.
Well, on that note, you could recommend the Netflix series, I guess, because that shit's pretty good. I don't know if
that
you've
is
seen
really
it.
good, yeah.
Yeah.
The People versus O.J. Simpson. Very, very good stuff. Not really sure about Cuba Gooding Jr. as O.J., but...
That is so weird. Everyone's cast so well except him, and I actually think he's a good actor. It's not the right casting.
You can't make yourself... I guess talk and look like him.
No
matter how good of an actor you are, and shame really. But I mean, he's in a way he's kind of not even really the subject of it. He's just like background. You know, the real meat of the story is in like the defense and the prosecution.
Yeah.
But hey ho. Also in this year, Eric Cantona was banned for 9 months for fly kicking a fan over the railing at a match. And I remember this when I was in high school. It was fucking epic. He just took a real dislike to this guy, launched himself at him, and fly kicked him right in the face, like right over the barrier. It was a thing of beauty to behold. But banned from 9 months, for 9 months from Man United. So sorry, Eric. Anyway, in terms of movies, the biggest movies of the year, Batman Forever, in terms of US domestic gross. That was
everyone loves that one.
Yeah, Apollo 13 was second. With 172 million. Toy Story, the very first Toy Story, 1995. It's almost 30 years ago. That is kind of terrifying, actually.
Yeah.
Followed up by Pocahontas and then Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. So, what an eclectic mix of movies like for the top five. But it was also the year that gave us Die Hard 3, Heat, Seven, The Usual Suspects, GoldenEye, Braveheart, and Pulp Fiction.
Ooh.
So, you know, this is a pretty good year for movies, I guess.
Pretty solid, yeah.
I mean, I guess this is what we're going to find with every year in the 90s and probably the 2000s. Like, wow, we had some cracking movies back then.
Relatively speaking, that sounds like one of the most amazing years ever. And you're like, I know. Well,
it was probably an average year back then. Like,
yep.
Nothing special. In terms of video games, the top games of the year were Mortal Kombat 3, Chrono Trigger, Tekken 2, and Command & Conquer. Nice. I remember the first Command & Conquer. It was amazing. And just out of... I just looked this up out of random curiosity. Like, the US GDP was 7.2 trillion. I had to round that up there. The federal debt was 4,921 billion. It's probably more like 10 trillion at this point. So, different times.
What was a pound worth back then? Like, this is something good.
It was worth 17 sticks and 2 squirrels.
Dude, there's still people I talk to who are like, oh yeah, the pound, that's like $2, isn't it? It's like,
I do remember that time, actually, when it was insanely valuable, and now it's basically on par with the dollar. It's shit, man.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, that's enough waffle about 1995. I hope I've bored everyone to tears with that one. Why don't we bring some of our guests in to discuss this with us? Because we got a whole bunch of things to get through tonight.
Well then, let's grab them.
Let's make it happen. All right. The first one, joining us all the way from Australia, is Shadiversity, or Night's Watch / Shadiversity / Shad M. Brooks.
All the above. It's I get around. I'm like, oh, I was gonna say something a bit too edgy for me. Look, I might have been up since 2 a.m. and when I'm particularly tired, I get a little silly. And when I say silly, I mean retarded. So if I am a bit overly retarded this stream, I apologize. I did catch myself then, though. So we'll see how I go. But it's good to be here.
It's fine, man. We could be surprisingly retarded on open bar, so I think you'll fit right in here.
Great. Good to be here.
Yeah, good to have you back, man. Thanks for joining us. Next up, joining us, we have got Ryan Kinnell from RK Outpost. It's been a few months since we've had you on, man. It's good to have you back.
It's good to be back. And since Shad is not willing to say it, I'll say it. He was going to say he's like a Mormon whore, okay? That's what he was going to say.
How do you know that? It's true.
But how do you know? I can read your mind. But yeah, it's good. How nice it is to look back at 1995 and see the laundry list of awesome movies that came out, and then just look at the releases for this year and you're like, what the fuck happened?
That's what we pretty much do every open bar. Like every year, like in the 90s, we're like, oh God, there was that, there was this, they were all amazing. And then what have we got? Deadpool and Wolverine, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, Seven, Braveheart, even Die Hard 3. Die Hard 3 is my second favorite one after the first one. I still to this day, I can't not die laughing when Bruce Willis calls Samuel L. Jackson Jesus. And he's like, no, it's, hey.
I look Puerto Rican to you.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking hilarious, yes. But it's good to be here. Good to be here.
Yeah, good to have you back, man. Next up, I think you might recognize this guy. He's been on once or twice before. It's Gary.
Hey,
Woo!
what's up?
Gary's back.
What's up, Shad? You're a Horman.
There you go.
Nice.
I see what you did there.
He's been sitting on that one for 3 minutes.
I was.
Yeah, plenty of time to get worked up
I
to
was
it.
trying.
Nice.
1995. I got married to my first wife. Let's get on with the show.
Okay.
We're all just like, all right then.
It's like, we're going to get an anecdote there? No. Okay.
No.
I was
Just
10
sadness.
years old in 1995.
You were 10. And you were married. That's when you got married. Had your first 5 kids.
Look,
as a Mormon.
I know we get married
It was
fast, but not that
prearranged as well.
fast.
All right. Last up, he's the despotic ruler of, well, I assume it's Antrim, possibly the whole world at this point. Who knows? But is the despot of Antrim. And I like your shades, man.
I'm actually disappointed that you recognized me. I thought the shades would disguise me and you wouldn't know who I was.
You need to have a wig on, and then people won't recognize a thing about you.
Yep.
A wig and pointy
I
ears.
thought that was
that.
a pretty good disguise one. It took me 4 hours to think of.
You need the nose and the mustache. That one is a classic.
Shit.
So many thumbnails have that on it.
Yeah,
It's great.
I know. I love the meme of like Barad-dûr with the Eye of Sauron.
Yes,
and it's just got a mustache.
Gary, when you showed that in your video, I just cracked up.
Legion of Memers answered the call. They did. That was hilarious.
God, it's only a day old and already the memes are great. It's one of the most mimetic shows. I mean, no matter how bad it is, the memes make it worth it.
Some of the comments are just glorious, and this is on their own video as well. Like, but they were all of them deceived, for another wig was made.
My favorite one was the wig is treacherous; it will not hold you to your word.
The internet has answered the call. Right, when it comes to making fun of this, it's not going to reach the precipice of like what we saw for the first one, the first teaser trailer that got like 2 million dislikes or something like that on YouTube. I don't think we're going to get there, but I think it's well on its way to at least 500,000, if not more.
Well, I was going to take a quick look at this actually and see what it's currently sitting at. Hold on, let's see if I can bring it up.
I saw one tweet celebrating that he did look completely different, that they'd done such a great job. and it had like 600, 700 likes, and I was like, how did that even happen? And I looked at all the replies, which were like, this is a funny tweet, this is a good tweet, like, yeah, this is like, very ironic. And I was like, oh, that poor poster probably was like,
Yeah.
no, well, you
So
Good
agree,
one.
right?
I did like the comment as well. Elves. Oh no, Halbrand is actually Sauron. How he puts on a wig and pointy ears. Elves. Where did he go? Must
Where'd
have
he
been the
go?
wind. But yeah, just for your information, the teaser trailer is currently sitting at 75,000 upvotes and 380,000 downvotes. So as Ryan said, it's well on its way to 500,000 downvotes.
Oh yeah.
It's safe to say Rings of Power is very much beloved, and everyone's excited. And this was a very good choice by Amazon.
I mean, it's not often you can just say in advance like that show is cooked, but this one is.
I mean, if you were their like community manager, you'd be like, guys, this is bad. Like,
do you see? Have you seen all the hidden replies and everything on every tweet they have about it? It's even the lightest criticism, they're hiding the replies.
Yes.
And of course, all the porn bots as well. You know that you see that all the time on Twitter nowadays too. But
Wigs in
rough.
bio. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, bad joke. No, they blocked the quartering, right? They haven't blocked me, so I haven't done enough yet. I'll try harder. But yeah, they're blocking people.
Just
you
on what?
don't really talk about Rings of Power that much, do you, Gary? Why would they block you?
No, not really.
Yeah, makes sense.
Just to what you guys are saying, that it's pretty safe to bet that this is going to be a dumpster fire, like already. The trailer shows it. I can't believe how generic that was and how many things they were copying from other works and stuff. They don't have any creativity. And then some of the lines just in the dialogue that were showing in throughout the trailer, it's going to be awful. The same creative people are on board, are making this.
Yeah. Well, hey, no, it's all women directing. But did you see the behind the scenes with Celebrimbor when it confirms that like Anatar is going to come back in his clever disguise and the acting performance that he's all, we have an unexpected visitor.
Whatever could this mean?
What could this mean? And then they show Sauron. It's so bad.
I don't think I've ever seen a show where characters are so like proudly retarded, but the show.
Have you seen Ahsoka?
Well, they seemed like they had a little bit of shame to them, but like these guys, they really think that they're smart, and like these have been built up through Tolkien's lore as some of the most brilliant minds of their age. You know, Celebrimbor, the master metalsmith who can forge rings of power, doesn't understand what an alloy is. I mean,
all of the dialogue and things, the writers really do think that they're clever too. The fucking ship floating, the rock sinking, that thing. The very first introduction we have of Halbrand, everyone's like, well, obviously that's Sauron. It's not clever, it's not interesting, it is the dumbest shit possible, but they think they're really smart.
Yeah, that's the key. It's this whole skin suit. They're trying to have the veneer of something greater. And again, Ryan, you're absolutely right. The line about, the boat where, why does a boat float and a rock sink? They want to sound like it's Tolkienian, prose, yet they do not have the talent at all to even come close to it. And it's just retarded gobbledygook. Like I've excised most of it from my memory because it's so forgettable. But I do remember being astounded time and time again at how bad so much of the dialogue was in that show. It was amazing.
I think the one that I found like the most tortured metaphor in the whole show was when Gil-galad is giving his speech that Elrond wrote for him, and it's like the corpse of our vanquished enemies is like a spring rain washing across the bones of a spoiled carcass. Like, what the fuck is even that? It's just so painful to listen to. Like, did none of the actors just say, what the fuck am I saying here? No human or elf or dwarf or all the tongues of men and dwarves would ever say such a thing. It's ludicrous.
When you look at the... Sorry, go ahead, Gary.
No, I was forced to go back and watch the last third because I'm like, I watched all this and I still can't believe that Guy Ladriel knew Halbrand was Sauron and didn't tell anybody. I have to make sure. I just going to go back and make sure. And It's so effing stupid. She
still made
knows.
the rings. We'll
And
make
they
3.
still
That'll
made the rings. So now in this story, everything is this bitch's fault. Everything.
Yes. Mhm. I mean, even Sauron being evil is her fault. He wanted to give it up, and she, because she was power hungry and everything, convinces him to go with. Oh, it's just like,
Did I ever? By the way, did I ever show you the recut or the redubbed version of that scene about boats floating and rocks sinking? I must have shared it.
I don't
You
know.
can see it again.
Hold on. Well, I'll see how much I can do before I get copyright struck.
Sinky because they look downwards to darkness. Boats float because they look up at shiny sky. Do you get it?
You're saying if I look at shining sky, I can float like a boat?
First, you must touch darkness. It's like a metaphor.
Then I can be floaty like a boat?
That would be better.
That would have been better.
I love the part where he says rocks are sinky. And boats are floaty.
You just want him to be honest and just go like, you know what, scratch all that. I'm gonna go write something.
I got nothing for you. Okay, you're on your own, little shit.
What I love, but that's the reality. If you break down what information they're actually conveying in the dialogue, what they're actually saying, it's retarded. This is nonsense, but they're trying to hide it behind, I'm going to pretend and sound like I'm intelligent, and I'm going to say it like this, like I'm saying something profound. And that means, you know, if you don't understand it, it's because what I'm saying is so wise and deep. It's just beyond your comprehension. They're trying to pull the wool over people.
Well, yeah, there's an audience member. You're like, is he about to talk about like density or buoyancy, or you're like, no, metaphor. You're like, oh,
metaphor-y.
Yeah. I think it's funny too, with obviously the House of the Dragon trailer release right next to it. Just the differences in the trailers. The House of the Dragon trailer, it's so like spot on. Hey, this is what this season is going to be about. Like laying it out, different people's motivations and reasons, and foreshadowing different fights we might have. Rings of Power is just nothing. It's just like paint against a wall.
I think that was my big takeaway from this teaser, in that it shows you essentially nothing. It's doing its absolute best to show nothing that people could mock, because I guess they knew what people were primed for when this thing came out, and they tried to make it just the most bland, generic, like show a bunch of landscape shots, show a bunch of characters looking concerned about things, show a few bits of generic dialogue like, evil has returned, or prepare yourselves for battle. Just nothing that can really be memed on. And still the internet found a way, because they had that fucking Sauron wig thing.
Also, it also had nothing of substance, especially when they cut to like, those shots where it was like scene, cut, right? And most of it was lacking context and just like, be excited by random person screaming, and look, there's this and there's that, where the contrast of the House of Dragons trailer was really interesting, because they did that as well, except the quick cuts that they were showing had context and reference to what the trailer was actually trying to convey. Like there's a line in the House of Dragons trailer where it says there's another way to wage a war or something like that. And then it shows money being exchanged in hands and other different machinations going on, where the quick cuts had direct reference to what was being said and conveyed. It was actually conveying story. Whereas the Rings of Power one, it was just vapid, pointless nonsense.
Yeah.
Again, it shows the competence and talent behind, these projects, and how these are actually being made.
Well, if you look at the behind the scenes video, which got ratioed as well, they really wanted to make sure that you knew it was darker. So the only interview we got was that one director was saying it's going to be darker this year, and then they in four various
I thought
ways.
they meant the casting. Sorry.
That too. I even went into that in my video, but a little bit.
Sorry, Gary. When you pointed out X-Ray Girl in the thing, I cracked up. It's like, I didn't notice that. I was like, oh, okay.
No. Don Lemonless has a line in the behind the scenes where he's like, the darkness has reached him. The darkness has reached me. It's like, Yeah. Okay. But no, they really wanted to make it known that it was darker, and it was darker. You couldn't see anything. And then the quick cuts, you're right, had no freaking context. It looked rushed. It absolutely looked rushed to me. And the House of the Dragon one, the only rushed thing about is they just mentioned war. Like they really wanted to make sure everybody knew they were going to war. They mentioned it like 3 or 4 times in a trailer. It seems a little repetitive, but they still told you what the story, like this is what the story is going to be. I have no idea what they're going to do in the Rings of Power season 2, other than like rape more lore. But it looks like they're going to try to fix some things retroactively, which is going to make it so much worse. It's going to be kind of funny. But as I've said before, you don't have to know anything about Tolkien. You watch that show. It's just a dog shit show. It's just a crappy show.
What? There's nothing funnier than like, well, should I say, the only thing funnier than watching idiots go down the wrong path is watching them desperately try to backtrack and put things right and make it even worse. Like that's what we're going to see, I think. But yeah, talking about things like just out of context, like the random shot of the fucking Venom symbiote just like squelching its way up the mountainside. Like, what are we supposed to draw from that? Like, oh, it's a bad looking thing, I guess.
Crossover
Evil
time,
monster.
I guess.
Be like, aren't you intrigued by evil, weird monsters? No, we see a lot of that. Like, why should we care?
Yeah.
They did something similar with the Balrog in the trailer for the first one. That was their sort of, hey, look, there's going to be a monster, and there's no monster, there's no Balrog, there was no payoff for that. And I don't know, maybe there'll be something similar. Will Venom make an appearance in the second season, or is
I
he
hope
just...
so.
That would make
I
it infinitely
suspect
better.
if I were to guess, I would say that Venom has something to do with that black shit that was appearing on the leaves in Region. But other than that, I have no idea what he's doing in that MCU Rings of Power universe crossover. Or sorry, Spider-Man universe crossover.
It just reeks of a producer, like a retarded producer note. So the black splooge is supposed to represent darkness creeping into the world, instead of like showing like leaves falling, slight decay, like no, we're gonna show, we need a goo,
because doesn't Mithril like retract it or whatever? Mithril,
yes, so we need to now make something that will fight it off, and we'll have it be Mithril, and let's show the origin of a metal.
And it's so dumb as well, because Mithril's not magical in the world of Tolkien. It's literally just a metal. You can work it into really good weapons and armor and stuff, and that's it. It doesn't like fight off evil. It doesn't like preserve the magic of the elves or anything like that. It's just a metal. It's no different from
you
iron
can smoke
or anything
it and get
else.
high. No, it's not like that.
No. But Celebrimbor would probably think it's magical. He doesn't even know what an alloy is, so he'd be like, "Whoa, what is this incredible magic?" Yeah. Are we gonna get to see? Are we gonna get to see Galadriel's, MIA husband in this season?
I never didn't see him in the trailer. I think that's it. I think just the footnote was there to explain. What was it she said? I had a husband, and did he die or were they divorced?
He died. She said he died. Yeah.
So that was just there, I think, to let the fans know, he's not coming. Don't look for him.
My theory is that I reckon Sauron has him locked away, and he purposely locked him away so he can try and hit on Galadriel and have a chance with her. That's my theory.
Toxic masculinity.
So hold on. So out of all the women in Middle Earth Sauron could have gone for, he specifically chose Galadriel and locked away her husband. He went to all that effort.
That's my theory. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what I reckon.
No, I could totally believe that he's been in a dungeon for 1,000 years. And she's gonna have to nurse him back to health. I mean, forget about Galadriel's daughter.
Gary, no, she's gonna have to save him. Because, do you see the genius of this? Because usually it's the guy that saves the damsel. But guys, what if?
Oh my god!
If we make the woman save the guy?
No,
what?
That's never been done before.
It's the easiest prediction. Like, just think intersectionally. That's all you need to do when you approach this. Think intersectionally. And that's exactly what would happen. He won't be able to speak. He'll be scared. She will protect him in the forest or something from orcs or something. And he'll be pissing his pants and she'll be just cutting through him like butter. That little 5'4" Morphin Clark weighing in at about 95 pounds.
Let's see if we can predict this. I reckon the scene where it has the panning shot of like the Avengers knockoff where they all got their weapons out and everything like that, that's the party that Galadriel put together after she found out her husband is alive, and that's them going to save him, and they get into the bad thing, and then they're about to be attacked by monsters, and that's the fight scene right before they save Celebrimbor. That's my prediction.
I am curious what they're about to fight in that scene, because you pointed out in your video, Gary, there's things in the background there. They can't be ring wraiths because it's too early for them. Can they be barrow whites or something?
They'd have to be a different type because
Some
they're
evil
the
undead
girl ring wraiths.
I think my suggestion is the best. They're barrel white supremacists. Okay, that's what they are.
I think so. Yeah.
I think they're going for another round with the troll. That's what I think.
Yeah.
No, I think well, they showed either a previs one, but it's from that scene of some. It looks Eastern to me. Correct me if I'm wrong. Of some zombie-looking king, it had a crown on, going after one of the company that's with Galadriel in that scene.
Does she have to save him?
Fucking for sure.
So you're telling me that they just stumbled into some zombies like a little swamp where he was having fun, and they've ruined it. Like, so property rights aren't just a thing anymore, I guess. Like, jeez, leave the guy alone.
The only thing that makes people think barrel whites is the eyes.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah.
They're definitely trying to knock off the horror elements from the Jackson trilogy. So last time it was very much the visual iconography, and that was what the first Rings of Power trailers for season 1 were about. They wanted to show, look, this looks just like Lord of the Rings, and that was what it was all about. And this time, you can definitely tell they're trying to rip on Jackson's horror elements, because Jackson was a horror director before he came to Lord of the Rings, and he infuses that into the Lord of the Rings really well. And they've got Venom, that's one of their horror elements, and they said, oh, it's going to be darker, so you'll get a lot more kind of horror noir knockoff scenes. And then you will have possibly those creatures in the woods, the barrow white supremacists, as Nerdrada calls them. So I think you'll see that. And I do wonder, I think they might use that as their mystery box, because this time around, they've used all their mystery boxes. Last time it was the characters. And this time I think the mystery boxes will be possibly barrow whites, Venom, and I'm not sure what else. I mean, how are they going to shoehorn their mystery boxes in? Because that's kind of their trademark writing. That's the only one of the few reasons people kept watching it was to see that.
Yeah, they've blown their load already with Sauron, because they've already told us, like, yep, this guy with the wig on, who you never would have guessed before, yeah, that's Sauron. So everyone kind of knows that.
That's the thing, though. The longer the show goes on, the less I think they're gonna be predictable in terms of sticking to any kind of assumption of like lore accurate. Because I've seen a lot of people saying, yeah, it can't be ring race. This is prior to the rings. Like, there's no way. And it's like, you understand how the thought would work for them, though, right? Like, they'd be like, can we have those ring race? They were really cool. And then someone's like, no, we can't. Let's wait to it. And it's like, can we have like a spell that casts a future flash that allows us to see them? And then someone could be like, yeah, maybe. And then just some sorcerer casts future spell, a bunch of smoke, and then there's a ring wraith. It's like, there you go, we got him.
Would the Army of the Dead factor into this, or have they not died yet?
Yeah.
No, it does. I see the chat, and yeah, the barrow whites are connected to the Witch King of Angmar. So, but it's dark spirits sent. So what they can do, and I kind of said this in my video, is like make another version that they can just rename. That would be a repurposed version. It's not like they didn't spend the entire first season doing that. We have Gandalf. I know a lot of people think it's going to be one of the Blue Wizards, but they have to be together. So there would have to be two. There's some speculation that we'll get a second wizard, and I wouldn't be shocked if the second Blue Wizard was a woman at all, because this is fucking Amazon. It would be crazy, but this is Amazon. So yeah, or it could be something they just completely made up, because they did do the Nazgul, they did the Nazgals, the Nazgirls. You know,
I like that. Yeah, I like that terminology there. The Nazgirls.
They can just do whatever they want.
They were fucking amazing, because they were built up as like this major force within the show, and then they came to nothing, and then they just got obliterated.
Yeah, we're talking about all the things they can't do, and they've literally done a bunch of that shit already that they can't do.
Well, hey, they secretly got the rights to the Silmarillion, but just didn't want to keep it secret. They don't want to tell anybody, Ryan.
Yeah, it must be it. It must just be a big surprise. It's a little too late for that, I think. But
I do wonder about this stuff, like legally. How much can they get if they had just a straight up thing they're not allowed to have, but they said like, nah, it's an illusion. It's actually a guy called Bob. Don't worry about it. Like, can they just get away with this shit? Like, I assume they can push
the Bob White.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the
they'd have their
Walter
legal
White.
department, I suppose, that would go over this stuff and be like, okay, that's pushing it really fucking close to the line. I don't know.
Well, there's certain
Um,
stuff they have to like rent from Warner Brothers. Basically, they
Yeah.
have to pay him off to use certain names.
Well,
why would you
Warner-
bring in? Why would you bring in Gandalf and not call him Gandalf? Wouldn't that be a selling point for your show? Let's keep it a mystery. That's retarded, but this whole show is retarded.
Yeah, his arc was amazing where it's like, you know, we see a wizard appear, everyone assumes it's Gandalf, then they assume, no, that's too obvious, the show will do something smarter than that, and then at the end it's like, nah, it's just Gandalf.
Well, isn't it? Yeah,
It's the
because
best
season
we've got.
one, I'm not even kidding, I've actually forgotten a lot of it. Isn't season one, the whole bait is that several plot lines have a Sauron, and we have to wonder which one
Yes.
is... Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And
'Cause
could he have
the-
been Sauron?
Yes,
I would have
was
loved if
it,
he was actually Saruman, but I guess Saruman didn't start evil. I'm just trying to find a way that someone could have genocided the Harfoots, because that would have been a.
Well,
that's
it was
the only
it
question.
confused me when the real Slim Shadys figured that he was Sauron and they like just didn't recognize him. Like, you guys are like magical demon things. Can you not like sense if he's evil or not? Like,
Yes, no.
yeah.
I mean,
felt a
Maybe,
bit
maybe he
weird.
would have been evil if not for meeting Nori.
Maybe if the tits didn't give it away for the Nas girl, because there were people like, is that Sauron? It's like, that's a chick. That's clearly a chick.
At this point, you can't-
They could make Sauron a chick. I wouldn't put anything.
I was about to
past them
say,
at this
Gary,
point.
what the fuck? Yeah.
No,
Like
if
they
you
would do.
think intersectionally, they're going to bring in Sauron's mom. All right, Sauron's mom will
No.
come in. They'll make it the Sauron's mom, and
They
she
couldn't-
will be the real evil one who guided Sauron.
But the thing is, they
In
wouldn't
Tolkien-
make a woman evil. That's the problem. Like,
She
they
would,
have
would
to
be good. Sauron's mum would be good. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like,
oh,
this is my asshole son. He's always been a wrong.
He's always been weird.
You can make them the villains, but they always have to have something justifiable. Like it was a man that wronged them, and they're trying to fix things because of that. They've always got some sort of you're trying to humanize their pain. They can't just be evil for evil's sake.
I tell you what, though, like when you're talking about the horror elements of this, if you really want to scare the shit out of people, just put Morfydd Clark on a horse and tell her to smile. Like,
She really enjoyed that horse ride. Woo.
This was interesting as well, by the way. This was from one of my subscribers. He's been a member for 8 months. He says, Amazon literally banned my account's community access or my ability to leave back feedback or reviews because I negatively reviewed Rings of Power twice. Screw Amazon.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
you should
that's. I
think
wonder how many
twice.
people they've done that to.
It's very Soviet, isn't it? Because in the Soviet Union, everybody knew, for example, the Pravda was bullshit, but they would keep publishing these lies, and they had to keep up public appearances. And it's like Amazon, everyone knows this is shit, and everyone knows that everyone knows this is shit. So why do you even bother banning people's accounts? It's just strange. What are you trying to accomplish?
I think
It'll
it's
keep it going for a few extra weeks. But that's about it.
It's easy to forget how much insane drama there was around the release of this thing, right? Not only did we have the lead up where they were just attacking fans left and right, all the fake fans they brought in for these like roundtables that never actually watched the show that were clearly just paid influencers. But then when they did release it, remember they shut down ratings for 3 days or something. You couldn't review the thing on Amazon Prime for a couple days after that.
Yeah.
And then after they actually opened it up, they were removing people's ratings. They were banning accounts. They were doing all these things. IMDb, partially owned by Amazon as well, I think. They were fudging the numbers there. There was so much PR spin that went to try to save this show. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter.
Don't
That's
forget,
the most
YouTube
beautiful part. That was just
initially deleted a bunch of dislikes that you couldn't see. Like it went
Yes, I
down a
remember
million. It went down
Yeah.
a million, and it popped back up again over time.
How do you do that? What is the? Do you actually have to pay YouTube to delete
I'm
those,
sure.
or do they just have contacts at YouTube that will do that for them?
It would have to be that.
I actually think yes. Yeah.
That's potentially what it was. I also think there's a reasonable chance that because of the way the dislike counter works, because it's based off individual people that like have it, that it could have been a glitch, or it could have just been like literally an update to the algorithm that they use for the YouTube dislike, because it's not a hard count this number of dislikes. It's based on the amount of people that have the remove dislike extension installed and things like that.
And it
then
estimates low, by the way, if you compare it to your own dislikes. Yeah.
Typically,
And
it
also,
does
I
estimate low.
fucking hate that that's become a fait accompli that YouTube removed the dislike button, because that's basically removing the product quality indication. It's like you're not allowed, because that's people's fucking time, right? If you look up a how-to video, and it has 90% dislike, you could say, okay, it's some fucking asshole wasting everybody's time to get ad revenue.
With an Indian accent.
Yeah, and
Yes.
you don't have to waste your time with that. YouTube have removed the quality checks in their own video. I know that it was years ago, but I hate the fact that it's become a fait accompli and people just accept it. They shouldn't accept this. Fuck YouTube for removing that dislike button. That was anti-consumer.
Yes.
It's easy to forget because we all are constantly checking them. We probably all have the remove YouTube dislike, extension. So it's kind of not a thought. But when we see these things, it makes the ratioed videos that much more insane because 95% of people that are like clicking on this trailer, especially a lot of the normies or whatever, like they're not seeing that there's a wave of dislikes. They're not hopping on a bandwagon. They're just like, wow, this is shit. And they're hitting dislike.
Dude,
Like
can you
that-
imagine
that's huge.
all the people who have contacted YouTube with the interest of like, can you hide dislikes? You get rid of them, all that stuff. And YouTube are like, yep, done it. And they're like, how come people are still posting fucking memes of the dislikes? YouTube, what are you doing? YouTube's like, we can't, that's it. We can't do anything else.
That's part of the reason for the memes, because if you didn't have the dislike button, there was no way to sort of to share in the communal hatred of something. So with those memes, those mimetic comments, things like my favorite part was when Sauron said, "Quick, Marty, there's a problem with your parents getting the DeLorean," or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's part of the
Sauron
reason.
said it's Sauroning time, and like,
Well, the genius of that, I mean, to state the obvious here, but the genius of that was to avoid comments getting deleted because tons of them were getting deleted left and right because people were just,
it was wonderful.
Yeah.
It's one of those examples of the law of unintended consequences. YouTube thought, well, we can just censor reactionary opinion out of the comments section, and the total opposite happened. They created this whole meme verse, which is just absolutely beautiful. Now, it's one of the best things about YouTube. The comments, I knew that the comments section would be good on Rings of Power Season 2. I didn't know they would be this good. The fandom
not disappoint.
Be proud of themselves. This has been beautiful.
I think when Az checked them right on Real BBC, the first one he saw was, I can't believe the comment section is open.
Yeah, that was the top one I saw.
Yeah,
still there.
The bravest part about this trailer is that the comment section is still open or whatever.
I know. Fair play to Amazon for that. I'll give them credit for that, for actually keeping the comments open.
Unlike Disney did with Mufasa trailer.
Yep.
That was scummy as hell, man. Mufasa is cancer, and I would have loved to have seen those comments.
I mean, yeah, that's the next level where you have to just nuke the whole comment section. But I can show you the top few. Galadriel, no man can fool me. Sauron puts on a wig. I am no man. They will find the wig, They will find the wig, Gandalf, and kill the one who carries it.
That is a shocking decision to me to have Anatar, and they haven't officially revoked, but I mean, obviously, I think we all assume that's who this version of Charlie Vickers with a wig is. But the fact that they didn't change actors for it. They're like, this Charlie Vickers is just so good as Hallbrand. He needs to be in this as well, and will make him clearly the same person. And I don't know how you can justify all these people not recognizing.
I thought there was going to be another guy that was going to play Sauron as well.
Like an Indian guy.
I think that is going to be like Song of Creation era type of stuff. You know what I mean? I think that's going to be way before the fall of Sauron. I think that's
if it's true. It's true, because Fellowship of Fans was putting a bunch of stuff out there that ended up being misinformation, and then they had to come out and say it was misinformation. And then about 2 days before the trailer came out, they're all, we're sick of these scoops. We're not going to do them anymore. Really coincidental.
So to give him benefit of the doubt, and I know they don't deserve this, but it could be that Anatar is another actor, and only when it's discovered that it's really Sauron, he turns into the other actor, elf kind of face, and yes, I'm now Sauron.
Yeah. Or is it going to be a quantum leap kind of thing where everyone else sees him as something different, and we, the audience, just see him as Charlie Vickers?
If Anatar is the Indian guy, and then Charlie Vickers, he becomes Charlie Vickers once the gig is up, why bother with the long hair and the elf ears? Like, why not just keep the shorter hair and the normal ears?
Because they're being reactionary. It's clear the criticism got to them, so they are trying to fix things. But when you're you've lost already when you're reactionary in your second season.
Gary, did you see the responses to your tweet about this, where they just kept photoshopping his head to make his forehead bigger and bigger?
So good.
It's so dumb.
It was like a cone head. Perry had it like curving at one point so it could fit the picture. It's so good. Hey, this is a good one. I read it in my video, but Halbrand, I don't wear half my wigs half as much as I would like to, and I wear less than half my wigs half as much as they deserve.
I love it. So this shit, it's rare the comments get me to laugh out loud. That was one of them. I burst out
so
laughing when I
good.
read that.
So I'm not sure if anyone else noticed this, and maybe I'm reading too much into it. I just found it weird that they made Halbrand in his elf form more stereotypically elf-like in the style that the Jackson trilogy did, where all the other elves
and he's not an elf.
Like, don't look like the traditional elf, but when the bad guy becomes the elf, we'll make him look like a traditional elf with the long hair and the blonde and all that.
I am convinced that they're not allowed to like certain elves can look like elves and not aesthetically. Why would you change that? Why would you give everybody 70s like feathered hair? That makes no sense. Whose idea was that?
Or the one black guy, you
some
give him a fucking tapered fade.
I know,
like,
right?
Yeah. We've got some ugly ass elves in this show, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like they're supposed to be these ethereal beings that are beyond the human concepts of beauty.
Who's the Smith one? Is it which one? I forget the
Celebrimbor.
Celebrimbor is old as anything. I'm like, hang on, aren't elves supposed to be ageless? It's just not. Yeah. And same with the king elf.
Old, but like he's not. He's old. But once you get to Círdan, he's old. Okay. He's freaking old. But supposedly, he has to be in it because they show. Well, maybe not. They showed the 3 hands and the 3 elven rings, and he's got one. So,
is Círdan the one with the beard, the elf with the beard?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll be interested to see that. Do they give Círdan a beard because he's the only elf with a beard? And I'll see. Yep. Okay, are they going to? I doubt the. I mean, what do they care about lore accuracy? But it would be cool.
Did you notice they tried to give the dwarven women more beard facial hair this time around?
After changing the Tolkien Gateway wiki, after having the professor go out there and say, well, they never said that. Bullshit. Yes, they did. He did many times.
I mean, there was a straight up, portrait shot of Sophia Nomvet. Is it Disa, her character?
Yeah.
Disa.
Yeah, she just still doesn't have any facial hair. She's still just like regular, normal human.
They want to make sure you can see her double chin for diversity's sake. So
yeah,
I think that's why.
Well,
they don't want to body shame.
They gave her more kind of sideburns now. Like you see Disa, and they've given her more facial hair.
They did give her you couldn't see
she
it.
had a tiny amount in the first season.
Barely visible, but I'm talking about the second season, the trailer and stuff.
In the first season, it was barely like just a little bit of stubble, basically. She had it like the smallest amount, which is
you're gonna get a shock, Ryan, when you find out like they didn't even put prosthetics on her. Like that was her actual face.
Because I don't think that counts. I reckon they lied flat out when the whole controversy of the beards came out, and then they had some producer come out and say, no, there's dwarven women, they have beards. I saw them put the hair follicles on. The show comes out, not even true. They lied through their ass so friggin' much in the promotion and lead up to season 1. I couldn't believe it. I can believe it.
Sorry, go ahead, Drinker.
I loved Don Lemonlass and the way he just exploded out of a cart that he was hiding inside.
Yeah,
I was legit like hurting my brain trying to understand the physics behind that. Like, how do you go from stationary to like spin flipping your way out of a cart that you explode through the top of it? I do not understand how you manage that.
You start spinning in the cart and then use the energy built up. You like push yourself up and the energy will.
So inside the cart, he's just going right.
Yeah. Or either that or
he
could jump into the cart from a really big height. Like he gets on top of an eagle and then he drops down. And then he just holds himself in a kind of spring position, holding the kinetic energy until eventually he pops out. When the time is right.
It could be that. Or he could have just farted. We don't know.
Yeah, well, he could have done.
There was a lot of that in that trailer.
You know how everyone was mocking like his ridiculous like Matrix style flips and stuff that that you had in season 1. I thought, okay, they've learned from that, and they're not going to do that now. They're going to have much more grounded. No, they've just fully embraced it. That's like his special move now. So cool.
I think they're going to put him on a vengeance arc because there's a scene where he is standing over a funeral pyre, and I think it's Village Wench's funeral pyre.
It's Bronwyn. Yeah, I think she's dead. Yeah, because they show in the behind the scenes, they show Theo crying. Well, no, Theo crying is in the trailer, and then he's standing behind by a funeral pyre because I can talk. And then he talks about loss. So yeah, I think she's clearly dead.
Yeah, so she'll probably die in the skirmish, and then he goes on.
They're gonna kill Bronwyn? That's crazy.
I thought she was one of the weakest characters. The ones you need to kill off with the hearth.
She's dead already, boy.
At least she was hot.
Yeah, exactly. At least she kind of got her tits out.
Did she not die in the final episode or something?
I don't think so.
I thought she was she made it, didn't she?
I remember so little about it now that we're
I was gonna say,
she made it, but she might have been like dying.
One of the worst parts of the trailer for me was reminding me so much about season 1 that I had just excised from my mind. It's like, oh yeah,
well, it's been 2 years. I mean, this is what happens.
It's been a while.
Yeah, lots of other bullshit has pushed it out of our heads.
Think of the vast quantity of shite that you've had to watch in those 2 years.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
One of the things I think is interesting is the timing of the trailer release. Because the first teaser trailer we got for season 1 was in February because it was during the Super Bowl, and that was to debut in August, I think.
Can we mention real quick that it was a trailer of the creation of a vanity project for a vanity project? Just want to point that out. It was making Jeff Bezos' sign that he can fucking put in his office, and it's probably already in storage, and he's forgotten about it. Sorry, Ryan, go on.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the trailer we saw, the Super Bowl trailer, the minute-long teaser that got ratioed to hell, 2 million dislikes, whatever it was. That was in February. So you're talking 6 months before. And that's pretty typical for a teaser trailer. You know, like that 6 months before it actually debuts. We saw a similar thing for House of the Dragon Season 2. We saw the first teaser for that months and months and months ago. But this comes out in 3 months. Like, they knew that people were going to despise this. They knew that they'd get backlash. That's why they've been so quiet about it. That's why they held on to this for so long before the premiere, because they didn't want to have to deal with backlash for 6 months instead of 3.
I'm going to go one step further. I think it's a reaction to the Peter Jackson announcement. I think they're going tit for tat. I think they probably wanted to wait till Comic-Con, Ryan. I think because actually Wheel of Time waited pretty long before they put out a trailer for season 2. I could be wrong.
Yeah, things that they know are going to be shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Peter Jackson makes the announcement. Then they announce the trailer, and then Warner Brothers hits back with, "Oh, we're gonna show footage for more of the Rohirrim, and we'll probably give you a trailer there." And then they release the trailer. Then Warner Brothers mushroom stamps fucking Amazon with the trailer an hour effing later. It was great. That was so good.
Bear in mind as well, the two guys that went and made House of Dragon for Warner, they were fired by Jennifer Salke, who's the head of Amazon Studio. They brought her a treatment for Conan the Barbarian. And she thought that it was too toxically masculine, so she said, you're out of here, you're fired." They went over, they made House of Dragon, that kicked the shit out of Rings of Power.
So inadvertently, she created their biggest competitors that are actually kicking their ass.
When they dropped that trailer, that was just a nice big middle finger to Jennifer Salke from those two guys. That was a beautiful touch.
I didn't know that. They were the guys that were working on the Conan project.
Yeah, Ryan Condal,
and Miguel Sapochnik and Jennifer.
Who's no longer with House of the Dragon, though, right?
No longer with House of the Dragon, which is fine. Honestly, it was Ryan Condal's show anyway. Miguel Sapochnik said, "Good director," said some of the dumbest stuff behind the scenes. But Jennifer Salke made a lot of enemies when she rolled into Amazon Prime Studios. A lot of people don't like her and are really happy to talk about it, which is great.
She has made some really excellent decisions, to be fair. I mean, putting Phoebe Waller-Bridge in charge of Tomb Raider, great.
True. I said corrected.
Don't worry, man. We'll get to that shortly. I was just before we went on, actually, I wanted to read out this. Barry Ryan says, "Love you guys from the best state to live in, Oz, with the worst government. 7 months since my last drink. I had to stop as I was trying to kill myself with alcohol. Single dad, love my 2 sons more.
Hell yeah.
Great,
Trying to move to Wisconsin to live with my girl on a farm." Nice.
Dude, nice. Congratulations. Yeah, over a major hump there with 7 months. Drinker wouldn't know, but I would.
I can go 7 hours, man. I consider that an epic win.
It's been 7 hours for me, and I'm shaking. So yeah,
those are called the DTs, Ryan.
Yeah.
That's a
job.
great story. That's a nice
That's
palate
awesome.
cleanser
Yeah.
from Rings of Power to hear about that. Well
Thank
done,
you.
man.
It is.
Very
I
well
kind of
done.
wanted to
Cheers.
end that section on a high. So yeah, good on you, man. Best of luck to you, and I hope you do get to live on that farm. So-
Yeah, yeah. But you know, the depressing part of that was the Oz and the government stuff. It is getting bad, man. They just passed a digital ID bill over here in Australia.
So what does that mean? You have to register
It-
to post stuff
well,
online?
it's pushing in that direction. There, you have to either register, confirm your age, perhaps even register your ID to use social media and crap.
Oh,
they're
man.
trying to push. They're trying to push a law for it to be to teenagers. Teenagers need to, verify their age and everything. But it's just one step further towards basically the social credit score crap that they want to.
Yeah, that's CCP. That's exactly what that reminded me of, the social credit score system that they have in China. They set that shit up. I know the Aussies. I mean, I don't know the Aussies, but I suspect that what they're going to do is, if that comes in, you'll just see tons of people using VPNs and all sorts of other software.
That's
because
yes.
Fuck the government. Who the
I
hell
guess
are they
we're
to tell
slowly
you?
we're slowly sliding towards that Black Mirror episode where everyone has like a score, and you get rated on everything, and like the lower your score, the less access
Good
to
episode.
things that you have. So, yeah,
Well, I mean, that's
Beautiful.
why
Good
college.
episode on that too.
That's why college students delete all their social media before they go for a job search.
yeah. I wholeheartedly endorse that. Just when you mentioned that farming thing there as well, I don't know if you guys have been watching Clarkson's Farm season 3.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
dude.
God,
Knocked
it's-
it out.
Yeah,
Knocked it out.
I've done the whole season. Loved it.
I'm gonna
It's
rewatch it.
it's so weirdly addictive because like it literally is just Jeremy Clarkson dicking around on a farm and trying to make it work somehow, and yeah, it's so compelling.
Well, he's so incompetent but funny, and it does show. Like, I think what the hook is it's like it's a normal unscripted show that they set things up once in a while, but it also has that added layer of, you see the insane government bureaucracy in the UK, which is just screw that. Like, as an American, like, it's hard for American farmers, but not as bad as they have it in the UK. Like, it's, and this is to feed us. And then, and it's funny as hell because Jeremy's an idiot. He's a freaking idiot, but sexiest man alive.
Sexiest man alive.
2 years in a row. 2 years in a row.
Yeah. I mean, listen, in the UK, it's a low bar, all right? So
Yeah. I mean, true fact. But one for the olds, I'll take that. And it's like it's suburban middle-aged porn. That's what it is. Clarkson's Farm is fucking awesome. Highly
That's great.
recommend. 10 out of 10.
It just has this wholesome truthfulness to it, where it's just right there. And I
You
agree
get
with
the little
everything.
nature shots too, the beautiful English countryside. And hey, if anybody goes to Clarkson's Farm, and if you look in that little cafe, you will see Shad and my signature on the wall. We signed the wall there. Yeah.
And it was actually really cool because we obviously got there after they had finished filming season 3, because we saw the
We got a bunch of spoilers. Yeah, we got a bunch of
Yeah.
spoilers. Yeah, it's like, well, obviously,
they must have won against the government, their local council to get that in. And then they also had the food truck behind there, and we got to grab some of that.
that was excellent. And those crisps that he cut his finger on in season 2, right?
Oh,
dude,
I
those
don't
crisps.
cringe very often, but that was
that was
really,
gnarly,
like-
right down to his bone. They showed it too.
I have flashbacks every time he goes into that portable kitchen now. Just like, what was he gonna cut something else off?
But those crisps are good. They are like legit good. Highly recommend.
Didn't he like produce like spring water and stuff? And he like they had the
It had shit in
tagline, "It doesn't have shit in it." He's like, "Oh, we can't say that anymore."
It's got shit in it.
I love it. But I also think it's an important show as well, especially what you were touching on, Gary. Exposing the bureaucracy that just normal people have to go through to just get jobs done. I got experienced some of that with my dad, who was in the construction business. The insane amount of regulations that just screw over businesses. It's crazy. And that's why it didn't win an award for best farming or agricultural related show or something like that, because it's shedding light on some of the issues that
farmers love them. Like, because it's getting bad. It's getting very bad.
Yeah.
And he's trying those new kinds of farming, which, by the end of that mixed wheat bean crop, good idea. Didn't make a lot of money off it. I think they made like 2,000 pounds off it or something like that. But they didn't lose that money.
When you've got one of the dudes from Groove Armada telling you how to
know.
farm, like, what the fuck are we doing?
I love Caleb roasting him though, going, "I know you're not. You know you're not a farmer because you left your tractor on. You freaking
yeah. That was
while you're
so
talking to me. Yeah,
Like, I don't know how they lucked into that, but he is a star. Like, and he doesn't realize it. He's just funny as hell. Caleb on that show. It's like so.
Yeah,
really
it's like
good.
like season 1. I think he said he'd never been to London before, or like he went on a school trip there once and didn't like it, and he refused to get off the bus.
He is the polar opposite to Jeremy Clarkson. That's why it works so well. I think
he's basically Sam Gamgee. Like that's really what he is. He's never,
but more willing to call out crap and yell at people.
No, it's great. Highly recommend. It will be watched by more people than the Rings of Power.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
And I just wonder what the budget comparisons are. And Amazon looking at like how much money did we sink into Rings of Power, and this Dinky Farm show is kicking the crap out of it.
It's like we need enough money for a film crew to just follow Jeremy around. That's it. It's like pretty good.
And it's unironically better, like orders of magnitude better than Rings of Power.
God, yes.
And, it's just, it's great.
Just before I move on as well, Marcus Vinicius Pereira Rego says, first super chat ever. It's my birthday today, and I gifted with a great panel. Love Shad getting me through my mall ninja phase. Have some shithole country money. Greetings from Brazil.
Go
Thanks,
smack
man.
Dan Vask for us. All right, just right over the head.
It's my privilege to help people through the mall ninja phase. I went through it as well. It's just one of those, one of those things that sword enthusiasts.
We didn't have mall ninjas when I was, because I'm old. So we had Tijuana ninjas, because you can go down to Tijuana and get like legit weapons, throwing stars and stuff.
Yeah.
America. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we had Tijuana ninjas.
Did any of you guys ever like make, fake ninjas, or, when you go into the metalworking class and you're making ninja stars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that and bongs. So pipes. We were making pipes.
Yeah.
Oh, and the girls' dildos, but that's when you could do that back then and not get in trouble.
It feels like a which way Western man, a bong or a ninja star.
Yeah.
Or a dildo.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going. Yeah. That's today, like which way Western man.
Dude, think about that. We made a girl a dildo in woodshop class and did not get. Everybody just laughed. They went, Teacher laughed. Those are the days.
With today, everyone would have been fired.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
You'd have to go sensitivity training.
As a parent, I might want the teacher fired, but as a student, it'd be hilarious as fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Just to bookend the horrible state of current society, right? Went to a doctor's appointment recently, and they had the mainstream news on. I don't watch the mainstream news, but all right, there was a free-to-air news thing, and they were talking about how problematic it was that there was a group of students in this high school who were rating girls in the high school based on their appearance, and how and this was national news. They decided to put it on national news of how sexist and horrible it was. Of course, girls do it to guys all the time. That never gets mentioned at all. But the fact that some guys were rating some girls in their high school, horrible,
national,
terrible.
How do you even interfere with that, though? It's like, have you ever been to a high school with boys in it ever? Like, that's what every one of them does everywhere. It's been like that since the dawn of schools.
But now it's problematic. Girls can do it to guys, that's fine. But when guys are not, that's just problematic and national news story. And I was like, all right, okay, free-to-air TV is still as dog crap as I remember. I'm not missing anything here. Yeah.
You can just reduce that down to breaking news. Young boys find girls attractive.
I know, right? Shocking.
Like, now here's Bob with the weather.
Terrible.
Yeah, girls most affected.
Yeah, it's as revolutionary as Bob Iger realizing, now that kids are getting into video games. So,
well done, Bob.
You know for a fact as well, the girls would have been like, "That's horrible." Would they rate me? What was I rated?
Exactly. A 10? All right.
There was something I was curious about, right? Because I have divorced myself from Doctor Who at this point. I just cannot take it anymore. I'm
Smart move.
Reliably convinced that it's hazardous to my actual physical health. But it is out now. The 14th Doctor is now into his first proper series. It's past the Christmas specials, and we've been treated to some delights of characters. Like, I saw this clip of Maestro.
Who are you? My notation
and
is...
I just...
This fucking character, this is one of the worst characters I've seen on anything ever. It was
Drink up.
insufferable. It is viscerally disgusting listening to this thing prance and dance around screen. The actor was just one of the worst fucking actors I've ever seen. I was shocked at how bad this was. I was shocked.
Well, I was curious about what this thing is and how it factors into the story. And I guess maybe you guys can help me out. Like, what is going on here?
It's the toy maker's son.
First, I want to
Right.
thank you, Drinker. I had managed to avoid watching any clip from this new Doctor Who because of how like horrible it looked. Now, thank you for subjecting me to it for the first time. This is
I won't make you watch the rest of the clip, partly because the BBC will demonetize me, but also because I don't want to see it. I just thought I'd pop it there.
It's just, what are they doing?
So
Oh,
it's not. So they've shelved the master. The master's gone, and they're going to replace it with the maestro. Not to be, which is weird because there's the music meister. Ryan, you know the music meister, in Batman, who was voiced by Neil Patrick Harris. Now they have the maestro, who is the son of Neil Patrick Harris, who's clearly a dude, and it's supposed to be a replacement for the master. It's also he's a god. He's godlike, which would have been a great thing for Doctor Who to kind of really get into because it hadn't for a long time in better days. But now it's just used. This thing is clearly activist Russell T Davies. He's trying to get out everything he couldn't get out before. Also he's just a changed man, right? So, but this villain, it controls music. So it feeds on all the unsung songs, which is kind of like the Weeping Angels feeding off of potential energy, you know? So it does something similar, and it removes all the music from the world, and it can like tie you up in musical notes and stuff. It's really gay.
yeah, it sounds retarded.
The most disturbing shit,
quite retarded.
like the most disturbing shit about like this clip here, the introduction, is when the guy says get away from him, and he corrects it and says, no, it's them, I'm a them, like correcting the pronouns, and then the little kid saying they're my daddy or whatever the fuck. It's just disturbing and weird.
It is
gross, to be honest.
You're trying to shake this reputation, Disney. Yeah, oh wait, maybe they're not. Maybe they're not aware of the reputation they have earned, and this does not help.
Mm-hmm.
In any
And
way.
Doctor Who usually. Oh, sorry, go.
I was going to say, like, because you mentioned Russell T Davies being a different person now, and like, I guess there's three possibilities with all of this. One, he has been pressured by the BBC to include stuff like this. Two, this he's changed over the years, and he's now a different person, and this stuff just means a lot more to him now than it used to. Or three, this is just who he always was, and he was perhaps under a certain degree of control and restraint before, and now it's just he's been fully unleashed as a creative. Because I was reading an interview with him just before doing this open bar, and it was along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing slightly here, but and I quote it more or less verbatim, though. Doctor Who's queerness is now front and center, and I'm not going to apologize for that. That was essentially his take on this.
Well, he's right.
Yeah, I mean, when I see characters like this, it seems pretty irrefutable. But yeah, he talks a lot about how he did It's a Sin and how he did Queer as Folk, and he's very proud of those shows. And now he's bringing that same energy to Doctor Who because he couldn't do it before. And I thought, that's such a strange attitude to have, because it's no longer like the 1990s when like the idea of having gay characters or trans characters on screen is some revolutionary piece of creative rebellion. It's everywhere now. It's commonplace, and so you're not really reshaping anything, and you're not really taking some like bold stand. You're doing the same thing that everyone does. So I don't really know what kind of weird time warp he's stuck in there. And also, just his whole attitude to this seems to be like that one aspect of having gay representation on screen means a lot to him. And, he's a gay man himself, and I guess he's lived through a lot of stuff where in previous decades he couldn't be honest about who he was, or he couldn't come out with it and stuff. And that comes out in his work now. But it's not necessarily what you need to work into a sci-fi show that's just there to entertain general audiences. Like, it can be a thing that you address, and that's why you did shows like It's a Sin and Queer as Folk. Great. But you don't have to necessarily work it into everything, because it's not going to function properly in everything.
And especially a show that is supposed to be kid friendly. All right.
Family friendly.
Family
as well.
friendly.
Like,
That's why they
families can
specifically
sit down together and watch this, and they really can't. Like, this is it's disgusting. This particular character. There's a lot of trans stuff. There's the pronouns. There's some really nasty ad hominem abortion straw man in episode 2, and like pro-abortion stuff. And it's really
Thank you for catching that. It was
nasty.
nasty.
Yeah,
Really nasty.
It's an LG. Sorry, go ahead, Trinker.
Well, it's just, I wanted to draw your attention just to a quote here, and this is from Jinx Monsoon, the actor who plays this character. They were getting interviewed about the backlash that Doctor Who might receive for doing storylines like this, having characters like this, and they said, "Who gives a fuck what bigots think? A more optimistic and idealistic way of looking at it is that popular opinion is not on their side. They're a very loud group, and they're growing louder as they grow smaller. With every way they lash out in this way, the conservative right has decided to take an all-out war against trans people, queer people, and people of color, and claim that's not what they're doing, but that's clearly what they're doing. Numbers are not shrinking." Your viewing figures say otherwise, but
exactly.
whatever.
I was going to say that.
But here's the interesting thing, though. For every transphobic, racist, bigoted Doctor Who fan that we lose this season, there are going to be 3 to 5 new fans who are coming in for the representation. So to those fans who are not fans, I say, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Now, this is the most fascinating thing, because I think if you ask me to provide you with a quote that just epitomizes someone who is out of touch with the average person, I'd probably give you that, because I can't think of a better one. This is what happens when you live in a modern, metropolitan, privileged echo chamber where everyone agrees with you about everything and you never venture outside it. This is what you think the world is, and this is what you think average people are crying out for.
It also feels like they've gotten past the notion that it has anything to do with the story anymore. Like, it's not even about bringing in people with the story. It's just about...
It seems to not be, And it's almost like, I don't know, maybe they know the writing's on the wall. Maybe know this show's not going to be around for too much longer because the viewing figures are in the toilet. And the best way I described it on Twitter was this: what they're producing now seems to have been created and conceived out of pure spite and hatred.
Yes.
Yeah.
We know you don't like what we're doing, and we fucking despise you for it. And we're going to cram it down your throat. We're going to dial everything up to 11. All the stuff that you hate, we're going to dial it up to 11 and absolutely saturate you with it before we go out, because we hate you that much. That's what it seems to be.
No, not seems. That they've admitted it. So Rafe Judkins, the showrunner for the Wheel of Time adaptation, in response to the backlash for what he was doing, there's a quote of him saying, "Yes, I'm paraphrasing. I'm absolutely going to be injecting my feminist agenda into the Wheel of Time adaptation." So in response to people upset with what he was doing, he said, "It's easy to deal with them. What you do in response, make their favorite characters gay."
Yeah.
And so that was him explicitly saying that he is going to bastardize the source material of a brilliant author's work, his legacy, an author that is now passed on and is deceased, right? And he is willing to bastardize that work out of pure spite
to own the chuds.
Just to own the chuds. Rafe Judkins, right there. And so they have admitted that's what they're doing.
You know, we didn't need... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say the Netflix the Witcher showrunners for Netflix show did the same thing, especially with Blood Origin. They just said, fuck the fans, fuck the backlash. Here's Blood Origin. This is everything we want The Witcher to be. And it was one of the worst things I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, we didn't need that quote to know that freak we had on screen for way too long is fucking mentally ill. Like, we didn't need that quote. But the fact that you think that 5 times more people are going to tune into something because you put a trans person in it, especially a trans person who's so flamboyant as this, is fucking insane. And the numbers certainly don't back it up. We've seen them continuing to lose a bunch of people. You look at the backlash, you look at dislikes, you look at ratios, you look at all this stuff. The idea that the amount of people who are craving trans representation outweighs the amount of people who would rather just focus on story, that's insane.
I have a quick question here. So Ryan, you saw episode 3, right?
I haven't seen episode 3. No.
Who's seen episode 3?
Which one's that?
The one with that weird creature with the
that
orange
one.
hair.
Yeah,
I've seen reviews of it.
I've seen all the
They,
clips
them.
of her. In
Oh,
it.
okay.
Or,
Yeah, I've
sorry,
seen it.
they,
I've
them.
seen it.
You've seen it, Neurotic. Like, because I was looking at that performance of Maestro, and not only am I watching an appalling actor, like Ryan might be right. Like, this person could be mentally ill. Like, that is how bad the performance is. It's the guy can't get through a
They
single
are
line
at the
of dialogue
BBC.
without screaming and
So-
shouting and being flamboyant and massively overacting everything. It's just an abysmal performance. It's like I know you can't. The BBC is very Sovietized and you can't speak your mind, but I can imagine some of like the assistant director watching this guy while they were filming, just thinking, "Fuck me, this is a train wreck." I mean, how did no one say to the producer, "This guy can't fucking act. Get him out of here"?
Russell
This is
T.
embarrassing.
Russell T. Davies went out of his way to cast this freak. Like that's
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah.
Like Russell T. Davies went to it. They knew each other, but they went to a show or something where this thing was performing as a drag queen. And like I think they started off as a drag queen. Now they're trans. I think that's what's going on. So obviously they are mentally ill. But Russell T. Davies went out of the way to cast this. I think you'd be perfect for Maestro. This idea I have for Doctor Who.
Well,
So
he
it was
has-
very, very intentional.
Yeah, he has carte blanche because what happened was be careful what you wish for. After the Jodie era and the Chibnall era, a lot of fans were like, man, that Russell T. Davies era was great, which it was. So he cashed that in. He cashed it in, came to Bad Wolf and said, because Doctor Who was going to get canceled. And let's do this last ditch effort to try to bring it to, we need to sign a streaming partner. There was a partnership with Sony. I don't know if that's still around, but he got complete control. So the BBC doesn't have narrative control over Doctor Who. It is Russell T. Davies. It is all him. And Disney put in a pile of money so they can now they now have some creative control. They denied that, but that's not true because Russell T. Davies later said that they have some creative control. And the BBC's in partnership, but they're not in control of this ship. And what they did was drain every ounce of masculinity that was left. It's completely gone. And it's here completely for the message, for the platform of Doctor Who to push Russell T. Davies, idealistic, militant, bitter politics, which I mean, I don't even care how he got there. This isn't the Russell T. Davies from 20 years ago. But yeah, every decision's his. Every decision's his. Every creative decision is his. Stephen Moffat's coming back next week. You know,
the thing is, like, you know, even if this had been the BBC, like, I think they would have approved wholeheartedly of everything that he's doing because they're that kind of organization. So, like, yeah, I mean, I believe you that they don't have necessarily creative control anymore, but I don't think it would have mattered because even if they did, they still would have rubber stamped everything.
I don't know, man. I mean, I know the BBC are really bad, but Doctor Who is so shit now. Like, it's not only shit, it's niche shit. Like, it's just an LGBTQ show now. That's all it is. It's gonna end up with a fucking tiny audience. This is a kamikaze attack from Russell T. Davies, and he needs to be fucking stopped.
And it's not even good. Like forget all. I mean, it's hard to, but forget all the message. It's a poorly constructed show. They have all this money,
so badly written.
Badly written, poor dialogue, acting is horrible, editing is horrible, the directing is horrible. The only thing that's decent, like Murray Gold, is wasted on this, you know. But like even he was terrible with that musical number at the end of the second episode, which was
that was Drinker. You've got to watch episode 3.
No,
I know,
don't make us.
I know.
I can't honestly, man. It's like I've had my maximum radiation exposure of Doctor Who.
You got the acolyte coming up. You got to pace yourself, man. Okay.
Yeah.
You'll be shocked. I swear to God, nothing we say can prepare you for this. You will be shocked at how bad it is and how bad that Maestro character is. It is actually disgusting to look at.
Is it worse than Arachnids in the UK? Because that was
one of the worst things I've ever seen. It's
equal. It's equal as bad. It's already on a trajectory to be worse than the Jodie era, and arguably the Jodie era had more masculinity. So
you know what's interesting though as well, right? Because all this stuff that they want to make such a big deal out of, like we've got our first Doctor that's played by a gay actor, all that stuff. you know, it's 2024. Like 90% of the world is gay apparently now. No one would care anymore if that sort of thing is what you want to do. Like, nobody had an interest in Ncuti Gatwa, the fact that he was gay. We just looked at him, his casting, and initially we probably thought, yeah, this is kind of interesting. You've gone for a young, kind of energetic doctor. Like, that's going to be reminiscent of early David Tennant. Like, that could be fun. But like, when you literally make that the only thing that you want to say about this actor, like just constantly pushing the fact that he's gay, and then taking this really weirdly combative, bitter attitude towards it, like, well, in your face, bigots, we've got a gay man playing the doctor. What are you going to do about it, huh? Like, no one cared before, but the fact that you're acting like such dicks about it makes people dislike him.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to. They would have been totally neutral about it. In fact, they were probably just happy that it was anyone apart from Jodie Whittaker.
My theory is they knew it was going to be bad and underperformed, and they needed to gaslight, like, because
they needed defense, right? Because then you can make those excuses. Well, the reason it didn't perform as well is because all these bigots gaslit everyone into not watching it, blah, blah, blah. And you're right. If they had casted a gay actor to play the doctor and we're just like, hey, our new doctor is this, I don't think really too many people would have a problem with it. The problem is the
it's 2024. No one cares
about
that.
is the fact that he's fucking gay and black. That's it. And not only is that the push behind the actor himself, but it's the push behind the character. And they've talked about how they're going to address LGBTQ issues, how they're going to address racism in Doctor Who. Like, that is the point of why they cast the black gay dude to play the doctor. And that's really the problem.
Correct me if I'm wrong as well, right? Because you guys understand Doctor Who perhaps better than I do. When I saw that first teaser of him, and it was like him in a nightclub dancing in like a kilt with a vest on, and just like really kind of, they were trying to push just him being like young and cool and hip. And I thought, this is not what Doctor Who is. The Doctor's not meant to be cool. He's not meant to be like this. He's like,
he was conceived as separated. Yeah.
Well, he was always conceived as this like older patriarchal kind of character. He's like the classic English eccentric. You know, he's the kind of guy who would play fucking bowls with his pajamas and a bowler hat on. Like that's just the kind of odd character that he is. And it's the tradition of like eccentricity that's kept that character going and kept him kind of timeless for so long. But the moment you try to make him current and cool, you date him automatically. And it feels so antithetical to what the Doctor is. And that was the first inkling that, oh, maybe they've gone the wrong tack with this. And it's just gotten worse and worse. And Ncuti Gatwa himself just seems to have done everything possible to alienate the fan base against him. Like, just constantly banging on about how he's black and gay, and that's the only thing that he wants to talk about. How about you just say, like, hey, I'm just really excited to be playing this character. It's cool.
I wonder, because like people are constantly, he's probably being told so much that he is important and valuable because he's gay and black. And people have been putting that, you're going to be hired because of these characteristics. And so I wonder if that's having an effect to make them think that it's the most important characteristic about them, which is kind of sad, because to me, it almost pushes them to dehumanize themselves. Whereas like, you're more than just your sexual identity. You're an individual. You're a person. And you're absolutely right. It seems like that's the main thing they're pushing, that it's the whole identity now around this person.
I feel like Russell's writing's gotten so hideously bad that I wouldn't quite believe that he was this the whole time, just hiding it, as opposed to, like, is there a chance here that he's overcompensating like crazy to try and come across as more of a virtuous writer? Because, the thing that happened with Davros, like how insanely stupid all of that was. I was reminded of, like, wait, wasn't what was his name? John Lumick, the season 2 bad guy? He was in a wheelchair, right? And it's like, didn't Russell T make that character from scratch? And it's like, you telling me the man who was like, no, we've had a history of like decades of disabled people being used to represent villains and stuff. It's like, you made one. Like, I don't believe it anymore. Like back then, because the man who made Midnight, right, or any of the other episodes that I'm quite fond of, the idea that he's like, I can finally be more honest. It's like you would like, it wasn't like you were hiding shit in those episodes. They were just good. Like,
yeah, I would agree with that assessment. I think it's twofold. I think it's he's just way past his prime as a writer, like just severely past his prime. Especially he's been out of genre and kind of just doing his gay show thing, which is probably his thing. But there's that, and yeah, and I think there's an overcompensation Mahler because he doesn't want to be associated in any way, shape, or form with the racist and bigoted Doctor Who fans that Jinx Monsoon referred to, because they have a long history, Doctor Who fans, along with Star Trek fans, of just being racist and bigoted. I remember that KKK chapter of the Star Trek fan club. Remember that? They love Star Trek, especially in the 60s. It's fucking ridiculous. It's so stupid, but that's part of what it is. And I think Drinker talked about it too. They're just in this really disconnected elitist London elitist bubble, which is not too different than the Hollywood and coastal elitist bubble that exists in America. It's just older and slightly more evil in the UK. But it's overcompensation. It's not talented anymore. But I don't think he was good at one time, but this tarnishes his legacy completely.
I kind of often wonder whether it's people that change over time in the course of 20 years, or whether if you had if you transported this person back to them, right? Like all the same situations, there's really nothing to lose. Doctor Who's a dead brand anyway. It's so acceptable now for these studios and these producers and directors and filmmakers to put identity politics into everything. 20 years ago, that wasn't the case. 20 years ago, you had to get people to watch your shit if you wanted to get it renewed. Like that was just the bottom line. And entertainment was the priority. Now it's not. And it's more acceptable for people to do this in the sphere.
So chains are off.
I think,
maybe.
Yes,
that's why he left. He left pretty quick. And he wasn't happy when he left the first time.
Yeah.
So
I think in the case of Russell T. Davies, like 20 years ago, he was far less successful than he is now. And so when you're at that earlier stage in your career and your life, you have to try a lot harder to get recognition, to succeed. And Doctor Who back then in 2005 would have been a massive boon for his career. And so he probably poured everything he had into it in terms of talent, ability, creativity, and it was a very different climate back then. It was a very different culture, and you couldn't perhaps indulge all of the activist stuff that you're so passionate about back then and expect to get away with it. Now, he's had a bunch of successful shows behind him. He's venerated as the guy who brought Doctor Who back from the dead. And so when he comes back now, he could probably dictate terms of his return. And probably part of those terms were, I get to put as much of my activist stuff as I want into it, because that's the stuff I really care about. And, there's probably an element of he's older, he's perhaps resting on his laurels a little bit as a creative, and maybe he's, as you say, a little bit past his prime as a creative force. And that is that deadly combination that you get, like hubris, too much power, lack of talent anymore. All of those things are combining together to kill whatever was left of Doctor Who now.
You're absolutely right when you talk about lack of incentive. You see that a lot in music as well. Young bands and young artists, they generally make their best stuff in their 20s to early to mid 30s. And then by the time they're sort of older and they can basically just make forever money by touring, and they've got all their hits and they don't really need to write any more great music. They're already rich and they can just print money essentially on the touring circuit. They just stop making an effort with their music, and it becomes bland and repetitive and boring and shit because they've lost that incentive that really drives them when they're younger. So it's a really good point about, maybe that is true with Russell T Davies. He just doesn't have that incentive. He's old, he's fat, he's rich. What the fuck does he care? There's just no incentive there anymore.
Yeah. I think that in terms of the discourse around this, my favorite will always be this article from Metro when they said, "Sorry, straight white men, Doctor Who was never made for you." And it went down so well that they had to actually nuke their entire Twitter profile and hide it.
It's insane. Like to even write a headline like that, with obviously the vast majority of the time that Doctor Who has been on the air, the men that lived in the UK were almost exclusively white. Like, who else was it fucking made for? If not white men? And obviously,
I-
the vast majority of them are straight too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there were other people who watched it, but like, yeah, generally, if I had to pick a Doctor Who fan from like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, it was probably going to be a guy, and he was probably going to be white, and he was probably going to be straight. And that's not a knock against anyone else. It's just the simple demographics of
Can
who
you see
like
like
this show.
how sad this is? It's like they introduced that fight, and it's like, do you want to have that fight? We'll have to look at all the fucking numbers if you really want to. But why are we even talking about it when Doctor Who was easily celebrated as a show for everyone? It was something that everyone gets meaning out of. It's a show about human nature through the POV of a crazy alien who's lived a million lives. And it's like, yeah, what? Why did you make it so fucking stupid and weird and kill your own ability to make money and kill our ability to enjoy your show? What was the point of all that?
They pussied out with the article a little bit because they changed the title ever so slightly after this ginormous backlash against it, where they said it was never made exclusively for you. So like, okay, you're hedging your bets now.
Hold on, though. What property was ever made just for straight white men? I mean, does such a thing exist? A show was made for whoever will watch it. This idea that a show was made for a specific demographic and no one else is a completely identitarian idea that didn't used to exist. It used to just be, let's make a show. Yes, there's a target demographic, but whoever wants to watch it will watch it, and hopefully a lot of people will. But now it's like, oh no, this show is made so that, black, lesbian, trans women can see themselves reflected back at themselves.
I think it's probably stems from the idea that most of these like journalists, and I use that term extremely loosely in this case, absolutely despise straight white men. And so they hate the fact that a lot of pop culture brands were kind of driven by them throughout the years. Like for example, if I had to pick your average Star Trek viewer, it's probably going to be a guy, and he's probably going to be white and straight. Not exclusively by any means, but like that in terms of like your average demographics, probably going to be them. Same with Star Wars. Same with whatever you want to pick. Indiana Jones, probably Marvel movies. All of these things were probably driven by that demographic that they despise with every atom of their being. And what they're doing with articles like this is to try to undermine that and rewrite that history.
When it always has the backfire as well. It reminds me of when Brie Larson said that A Wrinkle in Time is not for the 40-year-old white dude or whatever. And it's like, imagine being because she said it's like for the black experience or whatever the fuck. And it's just like, imagine thinking A Wrinkle in Time, that's ours. Like, thanks. What the fuck am I supposed to? It's like Lord of the Rings, that's the white man's thing. You get Wrinkle in Time. It's like, no. Fuck that. So stupid.
The Marvels actually Marvel's beat A Wrinkle in Time's record. A Wrinkle in Time was the highest grossing movie by a black female director, and The Marvels now is the highest grossing movie by a black female director, and Brie Larson was involved with both, so congratulations to Brie Larson. I'm sure that'll rejuvenate her career.
She definitely broke the record on that with the Marvels as well for the most money lost in a movie directed by a black female director too.
Like both those movies absolutely bombed. They lost massive.
Did anyone here see Wrinkle in Time?
Might have been. Did anybody?
No.
It wasn't made for me. So.
Marvel, are you talking to us, or are you just talking to the world? Like, I don't think anyone on the planet has seen A Wrinkle in Time.
But that's the funny thing when they ever say it's not made for you. The response is, okay, then. And then they're like, why aren't people watching our show? It's because you told them not to.
This was probably my favorite ever.
Yeah.
Straight white males, this movie's not for you. Then a week later, why are straight white males refusing to see this movie?
Yeah, what a mystery.
I know.
It takes a female journalist to figure that one out,
So I got to ask, like, this isn't a meme. It wasn't like a joke article.
No, this was legit.
This is real.
Same publication, same writer.
How could they possibly write that, like, the second one? Are they retarded?
It was probably a different author, if we're being fair. But yeah, same publication.
I think because especially outlets like that, they literally don't care what they said 5 minutes ago. It's just what can we do to make to generate a few more clicks with the next clickbaity article.
The games journalists videos like IGN or whatever, where the person speaking isn't the person who wrote the the thing, and so you can tell from the way they talk about whatever they're talking about that they have no idea what they're talking about. Like with
Well,
inflections.
didn't G4 go down that road towards the end, where they're like,
Yeah,
we
they
don't write
admitted
our
it.
own reviews, we just perform it.
You mean like when Helldivers is the biggest, the best RPG of 2024? Yeah, something like that. But that is one of the things you have to think about with some of those articles. People saying, "Wow, IGN hated Stellar Blade, but they loved this." It's like, well, the reviews were done by two different people, or whatever. So there's maybe a little bit of nuance sometimes in those, but I do think it's funny that when it comes to the Marvels, the reason that Bob Iger gave why it was such a big disaster is because they didn't have enough supervision on set for their black female director. We really needed more supervision for this incompetent person that we hired because they were a black woman and solely because they were a black woman. Actually gave that explanation, I think, at a shareholders meeting.
I really want Nia
Yes.
DaCosta's response to that statement. Tell me what you think, Nia. What do you think about you, specifically you, needing more supervision compared to the other films? You know, none of the, like, Sam Raimi didn't need supervision for Multiverse of Madness. How's that make you feel?
I think she told us how she felt when she left the production while it was still going. I think that was that they tried to throw her under the bus for when it took too long with the reshoots and she had to go work on another film. I think she told us then.
Yeah, you need to leave the production of your $350 million movie.
Oh, I'm not saying it's smart, but
I mean, I would have left immediately if I was in charge of that movie. But I've got a question for you guys, actually, from Captain Redbeard. He said, "Question for the panel: what do you guys think about the Riddick movies, and are you optimistic for Riddick 4?"
I didn't know there was a Riddick 4.
Yeah, about a couple weeks ago, they announced that Vin Diesel's, lacing him up again.
I guess he's like thinking past the Fast and the Furious movies. Then, like, what other franchise can I resurrect?
Yeah, gosh, I'm not a massive fan of them or anything. I mean, I think they're what I classify as a TNT movie. Where back in the day, if there was a movie that came on when you were watching TNT, and even with commercials and everything in it, you'd be like, yeah, I'll leave that on and watch it when I'm doing stuff around the house. That's what I think of the Riddick movies. That's kind of the place I would put it.
I liked the first one because it was done on a pretty limited budget, and I think the cast was good. The concept was nice. It was
Pitch Black,
pretty.
right?
Yeah, Pitch Black.
Yeah.
Just a fun little sci-fi movie with some horror elements in there. Nothing too outrageous or anything. Chronicles of Riddick was baffling. That was Vin Diesel's ego, like, fully taking over and trying to take it into a completely weird direction. And then, as I recall, I think Pitch Black 3 or whatever the hell they called it, that just completely undid the events of the second movie, and then he's just dumped on another planet again. So they were trying to recapture the first film, just not as good. No idea where they're going to take it with 4.
Yeah, I don't remember much of those films, and so it's hard to comment on them, really. I've watched them, but it's been ages.
Did anyone see his attempt at a superhero movie, Bloodshot?
Bloodshot.
Oh, yes, I did. That was the last movie I saw in theaters before COVID lockdowns. Yep. It was not great. It was not good at all. But
everybody tries one, in that era.
It was Vin Diesel, yeah.
Yeah, they had to do something. Well, he's Groot as well, so he's done other superhero things.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I feel like there's a bit of a difference, though, right? Like voicing a tree versus having his own, like, I am Bloodshot.
Especially when you only say one word. Yeah, really challenged his acting there.
Yeah.
For a second there, I was like, wait, blood, which one?
I think it was Bloodshot,
Too many
right?
now.
Yeah, it is Bloodshot. It's just funny. I feel like, how long before we look back on this? Like, wow, that's superhero era. What the fuck was that?
I'm there already.
Now, yeah.
So let me ask you guys a question, though. Do you guys like Tomb Raider?
No.
There we go.
I hate it because she steals precious items from precious cultures, and she needs to put them back so that they can eventually be destroyed by someone else.
Oh, well, I think
that's why.
Don't worry, Mauler. Phoebe Waller-Bridge has got you covered, because I'm pretty sure that's going to be a central theme of the new TV show. But the news broke that Amazon have greenlit the show for a Tomb Raider TV show. It was they're not even going to bother with the pilot. Apparently, they're just going to go straight into it and commission it. So Phoebe Waller-Bridge herself is going to be helming this thing, and I think we all just like collectively lost a little bit more faith in humanity when we heard that.
Well, Drinker, what you said, but before we even get into Tomb Raider, Phoebe Waller-Bridge stuff, this is the way entertainment is now, and that's one of the biggest problems in current Hollywood, current entertainment industry. There's no pilots or anything like that anymore. It used to be these networks that you'd have 5-10 series. You might pick up 2 of the pilots you see and order series for those. Now it's just straight up they're handing out wads of cash for content on all these streaming services. So there's no type of, at least for like Warner Brothers, they did that with some of the Game of Thrones prequels that they were looking at. They did pilots before they officially ordered shit. It's not the case anymore. So you're committing $100 million right off the bat to something that in all likelihood.
But why? The whole industry is contracting. Like the whole of last year was just them like self-immolating, and now like we're living with the results. Like the opportunities are way less. The revenues are down. The number of new shows that are actually getting commissioned has dropped by like 70%. How can they do this without even having a pilot, without even seeing what it's going to look like? It boggles the mind.
Do you think it's because this is just how they, produce shows these days? Is they're just caught into this new tradition, and the old guard has moved on. They don't know how to make good shows anymore through the pilot system.
I mean, I don't know how they've been commissioned, but like we still get good TV shows. We've had Shogun, we've had The Gentleman, like we've had Arcane. Like we're getting good stuff. It's just that I don't know if they got piloted or if they just went straight to series order as well. But it can be done.
The good ones have been few and far between, though. The amount of slop that these streaming services just pumped out, especially the Netflix shows, there's so much crap on there that it's just, where does it all come from? Yeah, but
it's a bizarre thing to do as well. You're announcing something that doesn't exist yet. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy's the worst one for this. She'll say things like, there's going to be a Rogue One movie, or there's going to be a Rian Johnson trilogy. And why are you talking about stuff that doesn't exist yet? Put something together first. Put together like a scene reel if it's going to be a movie, like a cheap scene reel just to get an idea of it, or a teaser or a pilot, and then talk about it. But to talk about something that's barely in development, it's bizarre.
It is. Well, I mean, they just reduced pilots. It was from all the streaming ramp up, and they were commissioning shows and giving them 2 seasons for a little while there. The pilots have been reduced. I think the last time I read, there used to be dozens. There used to be 30, 40. Now it's like down to 5. They just aren't doing it anymore. And it was because of those mini rooms and that are now gone, basically, after the WGA strike. And I don't think the pilot's going to come back. Essentially, it might still be around for like broadcast TV, but it won't be for.
How long is broadcast TV going to be around for at this point?
Your guess good as mine.
Well, streaming is slowly but surely becoming kind of cable again.
Once live sports makes the transition over to streaming networks, broadcast is done. The only thing that's been keeping it afloat is sports.
Yeah, live sports are one of the only reasons people are tuning in. And now even look at the NFL schedule that just got announced. Obviously, a little off topic for this, but still in the streaming world. Who has games? Amazon Prime, YouTube TV. Netflix has, I think, 3 football games on Christmas Day, I believe.
That's crazy.
Peacock. So now if you want to watch football, it's no longer enough to pay your $400, $500 Sunday NFL ticket. Now you got to have every fucking streaming service if you want to watch football. And it is quickly all these people partnering, having bundles for ship. Streaming,
that really damaged boxing. Boxing used to be a much bigger sport, but what happened was it went pay-per-view, and different networks got it. So DAZN's got some fights, but there's other fights that DAZN can't show, and ESPN's got some fights, and different fighters are signed to different services. So if you're a boxing fan, it's fucking horrible. It's really hard to follow all the big fights, and it's expensive as well, and it's fucking killed the sport. It's way smaller than it should be because of that model.
Yeah,
you don't have any more of those like Friday night fights on ESPN or whatever, like even that they did. You're right, almost exclusively. It's almost all
Yeah, and it's one of the reason MMA has gotten so much bigger so fast, because bigger than boxing now, because it's controlled by Dana White. He controls everything. Basically, UFC is MMA. Let's face it. There's other promotions, but they're not nowhere near the level of UFC. So he can keep everything in a single place on a single channel. He can make his deals with whoever he wants, and that way, if you're a fan of UFC, you just have to tune into one channel to watch it, and that's one of the reasons it is so big.
I wanted to give a quote from Phoebe Waller-Bridge talking about the Tomb Raider show just in a second, but there was a super chat that came in relating to the Doctor Who chat, and I thought it was really pertinent, actually, and it makes a really good point from Robbo. It says, Doctor Who does more damage to the LGBT cause because it perpetuates the image of gay and trans people as unhinged, nasty special cases, when in reality, most of them are just normal people getting on with their lives. Is the very antithesis of inclusivity on both fronts. I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
I mean, look at Captain Jack. That was just a guy.
Just a guy. Yeah. Not like ridiculously flamboyant, not like that crazy maestro character. Just a guy. He happens to be gay. Who cares? It's just a tiny facet of his character.
I was on stream with Platoon a couple of days ago, and he said the same thing. He was absolutely disgusted by Doctor Who, and he said it's because they're pushing all these bizarre stereotypes and the massively over-the-top flamboyancy of it that is just ceaseless throughout the entire show. It does push some really nasty, toxic stereotypes.
You'd think, honestly, you would think Russell T Davies, as a gay man himself, would be a bit more sensitive to this stuff.
Well, tolerance isn't enough now. You need to celebrate it and enjoy it. And if you don't watch, bros with all the gay sex in it, you're a bigot now. It's to that level where it's gone crazy. And you're right.
If you give me those two choices, I'll be the bigot.
Right. But also, like, you gave an example with Captain Jack of just he was a character that was gay. Same with actors, and it goes back to the discussion we're having with Shruti Gatwa, where his whole identity is being gay. I mean, there's been cases of gay actors, Gandalf, right? And it was like, yeah, he's gay. Who gives a crap? He plays a great character, and that's not his identity. He's a good actor. But now it needs to be the primary thing, and it needs to be celebrated and promoted everywhere, because simple tolerance and acceptance isn't enough now.
Well, yeah, and to be clear,
sorry, go ahead, Nolan.
It was a part of Jack's general attitude and operation. It so to speak, came up. But the comparison, like, not to say that Jack and fucking Maestro are the same kind of character in terms of their role in the story, but just this this approach to dealing with these kinds of characters, or like these attributes, these parts of their identity. There was an interest in, like, because watch Doctor Who, it comes up for Jack's character in ways that can be interesting and create dynamic dialogue with even the Doctor, right? But
90% of his dialogue and decisions are not informed by his sexuality. It's just
there's
him
so much
as a
more.
person.
I remember being fascinated by the Doctor wanting to stay away from Jack because he didn't understand him, right? The whole, like, you came back to life. He doesn't. He was avoiding him, right, when he clung on to the fucking TARDIS. I think that was that season 2? Gary, you're gonna have to help me out, Mr.
Was that
when Jack was holding on to the TARDIS, trying to chase the Doctor down because the Doctor didn't want anything to do with him because he didn't understand him, right?
And they were going off to that's season 3.
Season 3, yeah. Well, point being, there was a hell of a lot more going on than he's gay.
Utopia. Yeah, Utopia. Great episode, Utopia, by the way.
Yeah.
One of the best ones.
Well, imagine you wrote the antithesis of this. Like, you had a straight character, and literally their entire character was just defined by how much they wanted to shag women. And that's all they talked about. That's all they thought about. That was everything that the actor playing them talked about. Like, how fucking bored would you be after about 2 minutes of that? Like, that's the same thing here. Like, just being gay doesn't make you, like, interesting. It's not a substitute for a personality. Like, you need more than that in a character.
I think there is a difference because the reality is most people are straight. And so most straight people actually easily identify with guys that are attracted to women. And they can actually, because there have been characters a bit like that. Johnny Bravo, the cartoon character, where he was always just after women. That was his kind of caricature, right? But it's because most people are straight, they can kind of identify and connect with it, right? The fact is, straight people are not into gay stuff. That's and that shouldn't be controversial to say, right? Yeah, like, is it shocking that straight people were not interested in seeing that Bros movie where it has pretty, graphic, gay sex almost verging on pornographic stuff, right?
It has orgies.
It shouldn't be shocking that straight guys don't want a bar of that. But no, you need to watch it, otherwise you're a bigot. And so that's kind of the difference that I don't think some people like. You must enjoy the LGBT lifestyle as much as straight lifestyles might be depicted on cinemas. Like, but this is the thing: most people aren't gay. That's the reality. Most people can understand and connect with normal traditional relationships, guys being attracted to girls, guys pursuing girls, and they are less interested in things that they don't identify with. It's kind of just basic stuff.
So you're saying we need more for everyone to see themselves represented in things, Shan?
No. It's about what he's saying is.
I
think what he's saying is he wants to see more gay content. I think that was his point.
It's true.
Unlimited gay content.
Everything must be gay. Like, there's not enough gay in the world. We need more gay on Netflix, more gay on Disney. Just everything should be more gay generally.
Yeah, they're not represented enough in entertainment at all.
You made a really good point, Chad, about how acceptance is like no longer like what they're looking for, because guess what? They have that, right? Yes. It's about, or sorry, tolerance. Tolerance is no longer enough. It's not enough to disagree with somebody's lifestyle, but be fine. Like, hey, I'm in a bank, I'm at a line at the grocery store with you, whatever. I'll talk to you. We can be friends. I might not agree with the way you fucking live your life, but whatever. Now you have to endorse everything. You have to accept it. You have to endorse it. You have to praise them. You have to clap for them. If there's ever anything going on in the world, if you don't speak out and say something about it, then silence equals violence. That's where we're at now, which is so much different than where we were 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's no longer you can believe what you want to believe, and we can accept differences. You have to jump on board and accept this ideology, which is forcing beliefs on other people, and that's unbelievable that we've got to the point where it's so darn militant like that. But it's that if you do not say someone's preferred pronouns, you're a complete bigot. You're evil. You're denying people's lives. Of course, people deny Christian beliefs all the time, and but that's fine. You can deny people's lives, lived experiences.
Are you saying being Christian is like being gay?
No, I'm saying that there is an equivalent that you can actually draw, because there are certain Christian beliefs and things that I identify with as a Christian. Like, I believe I'm a child of God, right? And there's a practice we call, people brother and sister religiously, right? That's an identity that we adopt, but we don't force it on other people. If someone doesn't come up and say, Brother Shad, I don't say you're a bigot because you're not, you're denying my identity as a son of God, right? But that's the equivalence, right? If I was to force someone to practice or use certain words and terminology that acknowledges my ideology, my belief, right? That would be the equivalent thing. But it's okay for one group of people to force their ideology onto other people by almost browbeating and social shaming and all this aggressive stuff, but they don't acknowledge or even consider that, hang on, you're not doing the same for many other, beliefs and lifestyles, because one is a sacred cow. That's where it comes from.
Oh, well, the only solution to this is to have a bigot sandwich, I think. That's one thing I learned from Last of Us.
That account, Drinker, that's their profile picture. That was me drawing Sonic on...
It's uncanny. It's like Sonic's right there before
I don't like to toot my own horn, but I'm just saying.
So, if the YouTube thing doesn't pan out, you've got a burgeoning career in art right there, Mauler. I was gonna, before we got into that whole tangent there, I was gonna give a little quote from Phoebe Waller-Bridge here, talking about her work on Tomb Raider. She said, quote, "If I could tell my teenage self this was happening, I think she'd explode. Tomb Raider was a huge part of my life, and I feel incredibly privileged to be bringing it to television with such passionate collaborators. Lara Croft means a lot to me." Bullshit! As she does to many, and I can't wait to go on this adventure, bats and all. I don't believe that you've played a single fucking Tomb Raider game in your life, actually. So, I'm not really buying it, I'm afraid.
The thing is, even if you take that at face value, and I don't really, but even if you do, look at the state of Tomb Raider right now and what the people that are in charge of the IP that have final say and like things that actually go out there. Look at how they've changed the character inherently from who she was, from how she looks to how she interacts, how she doesn't actually raid tombs anymore. Like she's a different person now than she was 20 or 30 years ago when we were playing with the cone tits. You know what I mean? It's just a different character. So even if Phoebe Waller-Bridge was being heartfelt with this, which I don't believe she is, I don't see any hope for this thing to be good.
The only Tomb Raider product to be released in the past at least 5 years that's actually gotten unadulterated praise has been the remaster of the original Tomb Raider trilogy on the PlayStation. Like they did like a graphical upgrade for it and stuff. Everyone loved it because it was classic Lara Croft who actually raided tombs, who was unapologetic about being just essentially a treasure seeker, and was just fun, sensual, like didn't care, and wasn't concerned about having to cover up and having to return artifacts to their proper owners. That was like the essence of what made Tomb Raider compelling, and it's the only reason we got it was just a little glimpse into the past, because the remastered, or should I say the rebooted Tomb Raider games have just been a slow descent into disaster, because they are fundamentally incompatible with modern, like the modern philosophy for making video games. They don't work in that, and they've tried so hard to bend Lara Croft around the message, and they can't do it. They've broken the character instead, and I have no doubt that they will do the exact same with a TV show.
It's not looking good, especially with Phoebe Waller-Bridge behind it. There's an odd kind of correlation you can kind of figure out, like, because there's a lot of elements with Tomb Raider, the character, in terms of her background, what she did, raiding tombs and everything like that. And the more stuff that they try and rewrite, all these peripheral and sometimes fundamental things about the character, there's also a reduction in the size of two things as well that seems to correlate quite accurately. I'm not sure if you've noticed that.
The law.
Yeah, two things that were quite prominent and associated with the character. Just
her shoe size.
Yeah,
some of the guns. She used to have bigger guns.
That's true as well.
I mean, they tried to work around this with, well, they had the Angelina Jolie movies, which she emulated Lara's look pretty well, about as well as any human female could.
Big guns as well in that movie.
Indeed,
guns.
Yeah. I stand by the fact that I liked the first Tomb Raider movie. The first Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider movie, I think that was a lot of fun. It was dumb as fuck, didn't make a lick of sense, don't care. It was really good fun.
Was that the one with Daniel Craig, or was it the second one?
No, that was the one with Daniel Craig.
I liked it.
Ian Glenn was the bad guy too.
Yeah, and he was a suave motherfucker. But they tried to go down the reboot road with the Alicia Vikander one. It was just boring as fuck and forgettable. The only thing I liked about that was Walton Goggins, because he's Walton fucking Goggins, and he's just awesome at everything.
Speaking of James Bonds, wasn't Pierce Brosnan in that one? Wasn't he the dad?
No.
Who was it?
It was a different actor.
What was
his name?
I'm gonna look.
So yeah, it was Dominic West.
God, why? Well, I don't know where that came from. I just had a stroke.
Well, I mean, if it's any consolation, Ryan, he looks, talks, and acts nothing like Pierce Brosnan. But yeah, sure.
Well, there you go. That one was, again, that was very much an adaptation of the newer games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's how that felt. And as an adaptation of the newer games, I thought it was, fairly spot on, but it was not the original character. And yeah, like there were some things I appreciated about it, like the training sequence you see in the beginning, the fact that she was legitimately in really fucking good shape and things like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was just incredibly mid as a movie. I don't think it handled the earlier ones.
Physically, she was in better shape than Angelina Jolie ever was, but she had nothing like Jolie's charisma and screen presence. So, like, it's like a trade-off, I guess. It's like, which one do you prefer? But the result was just a movie that Lara Croft just felt like she got lost in her own film, and she is supposed to be a larger than life personality. So
I'm almost certain the Angelina Jolie first Tomb Raider awakened many things for many boys around the world, because that would have been a film everyone was allowed to see.
did young Mauler watch that in the early 2000s?
Fuck yeah.
That movie for me was Goldeneye. Fanya Jansen, that awakened the adolescent boy in me.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's
God.
fair.
It's like they fight. You're like, why am I? I'm not upset that they're having this fight. I'm not.
Why am I? Why have I rewatched this scene 5 times?
You know what's interesting though, because we talked about Phoebe Waller-Bridge taking over, or being the showrunner for this, like she's heading it up, and everyone just had this collective like eye roll, like, oh, here we go. She has this like terrible reputation now amongst the internet, I guess, and for the life of me, I'm still kind of struggling to understand where it came from, because she's essentially done nothing of note since she came to Hollywood. Like, she did Fleabag, that put her on the map, and that's, by all accounts, it's actually a pretty good show. It's pretty well written, pretty well performed. It's actually a pretty smart examination of relationships, and I guess the ways that a very flawed female protagonist can go wrong in life. So I'm not going to knock Fleabag for what it is. That's fair enough. But since then, she hasn't really done much. It's like she's this threat. It's like she's like a nuclear missile. Like the power of her seems to lie in the threat of her use rather than her actually doing anything. I know she was in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, but then she didn't write that. She was just an actress.
There's 3 things that I can recall, right? There's 2 things that she was in as an actress or even a voice actress that people fucking hated. Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny, and Solo. She was the feminist droid in Solo that got destroyed, which was the best part of that. She didn't write that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't blame the actor for that.
The third one, and Gary might have to help me remember, but I believe she was brought in for the last James Bond movie to help
to Die.
To help rewrite it for the Me Too era. If I
touched
recall,
she did, but I think you can pretty much tell the exact scenes that she wrote.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the scene where Bond has to make contact with Ana de Armas, like her character. Because
right when he rides bitch on a freaking moped.
No, that's when he's with whatever
Lashana Lynch.
Lashana Lynch, yeah. No, this bit is when he's with Ana de Armas, and like they have this kind of awkward, just like semi-flirtatious interaction where like it's a big misunderstanding and she's not interested in sleeping with him. I'm willing to bet that's the scene that Phoebe Waller-Bridge wrote. And it's not great, but it's not like super offensive either. It's just a kind of bland, goofy, like awkward British comedy kind of scene. That's all that is. And so I don't think she ruined that movie or anything. I just think like, again, she's been touted as like this big deal in Hollywood, and people keep trying to make her into this big thing, but like she hasn't really actually done anything since Fleabag, essentially. And that was 8 years ago, I think that premiered. So it's been a long time. But yeah, somehow she's acquired this reputation as just like the fucking franchise killer who just comes in and destroys everything before her. Like it might be justified in Tomb Raider's case. She might make an absolute hash out of it. But I don't know yet. It's just interesting the perception of her versus what she's actually done.
She was the face of the final destruction of Indiana Jones. When people think about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, they like the visual aesthetic of that is Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She became so associated with that movie visually that I think that's where a lot of that hate came from. And it was deserved because she was such a dreadful character in that movie. She was terrible in it. She was just awful, absolutely awful for that part. I mean, that part shouldn't have existed. But if you're going to absolutely insist on giving him a female companion, Jesus Christ, don't give it to Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
I think she was bad for the action scenes for sure.
It was so awkward looking.
What made her okay for genre? Like Fleabag's not genre, so why all of a sudden is she in like the nerd space at all? Like what? it's only because she checks the right boxes. She was a one-woman hype machine. She became basically the token feminist of Hollywood, and yeah, you know, success can propel you into a lot of things, but I don't understand where you get Fleabag to James Bond. I don't know. I can't even understand
You
how that
said it.
happened.
It's because she was a woman. She was a woman who had a show that was regarded as, I mean, it was critically successful. It was commercially successful. And so Hollywood shit themselves and thought, oh my God, here's a woman who is really, really talented. Quick, let's go get her.
She could put two words together on a script.
Yeah, she
Put
got
her on everything.
catapulted. She got absolutely fucking catapulted to the top of the totem pole.
That's part of it. So
people in chat, by the way, they keep going on about killing Eve. Yes, I know she worked on that, but I looked up her credit. She only wrote like 3 or 4 episodes of that, and then she was just an executive producer.
I hated killing Eve, so I wouldn't call that a good example. I know.
No, I didn't particularly. I didn't care for it.
Some intersectional feminist garbage, but I still wouldn't call it. Would you call that genre? I like that fits with Indiana Jones.
No,
Like,
I mean, they're trying to put a square peg in.
Okay, maybe James Bond, but not Indiana Jones and Star Wars and Tomb Raider.
In terms of her acting, her screen presence only works for a small sort of TV screen, that kind of indie feel, that local British scene. She doesn't work on a big cinema screen next to Harrison Ford. She just looks awful on that kind of, in that kind of scene, in that kind of setup. She's not that kind of actress. She's not made for the silver screen.
She's like an icon from journalists posting their L's rather than, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like she's not.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, though, Drinker. You're saying that it seems like anytime she's announced to be involved with something, people just automatically, well, this is going to be the biggest woke disaster we've ever seen. And you're asking, is it really deserved based off like her resume? Like how much stuff was she involved in? It was her fault that it was bad versus just being involved in a project that happened to be a fucking failure and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think it's like this interesting conglomeration of like, she's clearly a writer with feminist sensibilities. She's British. She had this like quite strongly feminist show that put her on the map. And then she's been associated with movies that had like, again, like feminist elements, but perhaps those things weren't necessarily her input.
But that's what propelled her, Drinker. That's why she's not, you know what? She's a mid talent at best. She's not particularly funny. She doesn't write particularly well outside of her own show, which it's been proven since then. She's been given big deals to develop shows. She hasn't developed shit. She took a bunch of money from Amazon. And I think Tomb Raider is the first thing she's actually developing. And she's just overhyped. She's just overhyped because she has the right politics. In a normal world, which we're not in, she wouldn't be getting this much work or accolades. She'd be a character actress.
I know I would not have picked her for a Tomb Raider show. Looking at what she's done, looking at her sensibilities as a creative and as a writer, like someone who does kind of quirky British humor, a bit of an element of black comedy and stuff as well. I wouldn't have picked someone like that to do a Tomb Raider show. That doesn't really seem to be in her wheelhouse. And so I'm genuinely baffled as to why they've got her doing this. And I'm worried that she will just try and turn it into something that it's absolutely not.
Oh yeah, it reeks that it's going to be a feminist wet dream, you know, message.
Well, there's still
I could be wrong, but it's really looking that.
I'm sure there's another woman out there that's more talented, but they're still looking at it like, well, this is female led, so a woman needs to be the showrunner, which is just ridiculous. Because what I was trying to get at earlier was there's just there's a lot of female writers in Hollywood, but there's more dudes. And they were trying to mandate the genders, right? When they can't even define them right now, but they're still mandating the genders, which is kind of funny. And this happened in comics. You know, it's like, hey, half the women out there potentially like comics. Now we need half the women who work at Marvel, or half the people that work at Marvel need to be women now. Forget the fact that there probably isn't that many women interested in doing this at all right now, but we just need to force it in. And that's what's been going on with the DEI regulations right now. But I'm still sure there's another woman more capable than Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She's just the latest name that they decided to slap on Tomb Raider because she was in Indiana. I don't even know the connection. Sure, she played it.
Oh,
played
she's
as
a
much as
massive
I did.
fan. Remember? Yeah, she played the games. Huge
Yeah.
fan, and that's why. Definitely that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think it's gonna be interesting as well when we get the casting announced. Like, inhabiting the role of Lara Croft is like inhabiting the role of James Bond. Like, it's a pretty big pair of shoes that you have to fill right there, and there's not many actresses who can do it. And I've just got this feeling it's
It's just
you
not
know
the
what-
shoes you have to fill too. It's the
Yeah,
shirt.
yeah,
exactly, yeah. And they're not gonna
Cup.
do that.
Yeah, I gotta fill the
I
cups.
guarantee you they will not pick an actress that is like
You know,
Haley Atwell
It's
or
probably
Sydney
gonna
Sweeney.
it's probably
If
gonna
they
be
pick
that
Sydney Sweeney, that would make it an instant success, right? There, but
Yes,
they'll never do it.
it's probably gonna be the same chick that got cast to play Juliet in that new Tom Holland movie.
I saw that picture and I thought it was like, who's boxing?
It looks like a fucking fight promo.
It's when they superimpose Spider-Man next to the Predator. I just that was brutal, man. That was absolutely brutal.
The
Yeah.
internet can be merciless.
It's not the fact that Juliet's black that's like
yeah.
the biggest like controversy. It's they cast someone so damn ugly. Like how would someone fucking kill themselves over like over that? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
Tom Holland isn't the great white hope in this one.
Yeah, don't envy you, Tom. But yeah, the future of Tomb Raider is not looking shiny, not on the big screen or on video games, I think, because I'm sure Crystal Dynamics had another Tomb Raider game in the works, and they keep threatening to do it, but it never seems to actually come to anything. Probably because the last one everyone just kind of hated. Like, I hate their take on Lara Croft. I hate how much of a wet blanket she is now.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the like little expert description that came out of that role playing game or something like that?
Yes.
About
Yeah.
you know, we have to move away from the colonialism that Tomb Raider was doing and all that bull crap.
We need to move away from all the tomb raiding and Tomb Raider.
That's what they were saying.
That's
So
right.
Yeah.
It's like moving away from the wars in Star Wars.
I know, right?
I think Amazon, though, from Amazon's perspective, they're really excited about this project because they had Fallout was a massive success, and I know Mahler loved Fallout, didn't you, Mahler?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you spent 2 hours talking about how much you loved it, Mo.
So good.
That was a brilliant video, by the way. It was a great
thank
video.
you.
Yeah, excellent. But yeah, because that was so successful, they're obviously really excited about Tomb Raider. This is going to be a big production, big budget, and I mean, you're putting this kind of almost indie writer creator, and you're giving her this giant budget. I mean, the last time I can think that happened was Nia DaCosta with the Marvels. Nia DaCosta did these shitty awards-bait indie movies. She did 2 indie movies, and then Marvel hired her for the Marvels and gave her a massive budget, and a fucking disaster ensued. You might see the same thing with Tomb Raider. You're putting Phoebe, although Phoebe Waller-Bridge won't be the director, but she will be the executive showrunner. You're giving her this huge budget, and I think she might just be lost at sea. She won't know how to manage this massive budget production because she's never done anything like that before.
No,
Yeah,
and Amazon doesn't have a lot of people who are experienced in that. We've seen that with the Rings of Power, like smaller action shows that it seems like the ones that don't have a lot of adult producer supervision do better, like the Reachers of the world, you know, or Clarkson's Farm. So like, but the big stuff, it seems like it's got Jennifer Salke's team on it, and they're just awful. And again, that was displayed. You saw the difference with the Rings of Power trailer compared to the House of Dragon trailer. House of the Dragon trailer just looked 1,000 times better. Just looked
heaps better.
Turn off all the music, all the dialogue. It just looked 1,000 times better. So yeah, I don't think they have the experienced people. It's Prime Studios is a new studio. It's relatively new. And they
ran a bunch of people who actually knew what they were fucking doing out of there.
The people who started it are gone, are all gone now. And Jennifer Salke came from NBC marketing, and she runs it now.
But then now they have a false sense of confidence because Fallout has been well received in spite of the very obvious problems with the show. It does have that. It's pulled the wool over everybody's eyes, and it kind of looks good at first, and it won't be. I think it'll take a while for the culture to catch up to the fact that it's actually a shit show. But that has given them a lot of confidence, and they're going to press ahead, and they're going to feel like they really know what they're doing now.
I feel like for Fallout, it definitely benefited from the bigotry of low expectations, I guess, as we can put it. Where it's
That
like,
is absolutely true. I would call that the Force Awakens effect. Everybody went into the Force Awakens and they thought it was great at first, and it took them a while to realize it was actually shit. Because video game content and video game series have been so shit recently. Like, and I know some people like The Last of Us. I get the sense that most of the fan base kind of disliked it and were basically disappointed. You had, and I know this, most people have forgotten about this, but Resident Evil from Netflix. Do you remember the Resident Evil
oh my
series?
gosh, I almost forgot.
I think we've all collectively blanked that from our memories. That was so
Raccoon City.
traumatic.
The
Oh,
Super Mario Bros. Movie, I thought was shit. So the video game content has been pretty fucking.
Oh,
rank
Jeremy
for
will
the
fight
past
you on
few
that
years.
No,
And
I'm on board. Mario's was not good.
I thought it was
Mario
just it was
fucking
forgettable. It was
fertilizer.
just
It's a
simple,
fine kids
fluffy
movie.
fun.
Yeah, it was just.
It was
a little
fun
kids
for
movie.
kids. I didn't like it.
And, like it was definitely supposed to be a movie that kids could watch over and over and over again, and that's exactly what's happened. It continues to be really highly watched on Netflix now that they got the rights to do it. Once they got it off Peacock, which nobody watches. So yeah, it's it's what I expected it to be. Like, not a movie that I sit there and like, oh my god, I just love this so much, but one that kids are just going to eat up. Kind of like the Despicable Me in the Minions movies. It's like, yeah, like I can sit through it for a little bit, but it's obvious I'm obviously not the one that the movie's for.
I think I agree with you on the whole like low expectations aspect of Fallout. In that we had it was a video game adaptation. They've been notoriously bad until like really recently, and two, the general standard of TV and movies these days is so low that like anything that seemed at least superficially to be above that, you were inclined to just give it a free pass, and I certainly fell into that trap.
I feel like it would have done pretty well even if everything surrounding it was good because of the Fallout aesthetic being blasted to us on television rather than in a game. That, for anybody who's fans of Fallout, that's really cool. That's automatically just like, oh, I'm fucking basking in this. Look at it. It's all the stuff I'm familiar with from an entirely different medium being shown to me here, which is partly why I think season 2 and season 3, it's going to dive pretty quickly because that won't be as interesting and shocking anymore.
From the showrunners of Westworld, Fallout.
But you latched onto something there, more, because sometimes small things or peripheral things can cause people to really enjoy shows more than they probably should because of the overall quality. I've had that experience. I enjoyed Mandalorian season 1, and one of the things I enjoyed a lot about it was the production value and the spaceships and stuff. I just enjoyed watching such a high production, quality TV series. Now that's worn off because we see more and more of it. But there was that kind
people still like season 1 here, okay?
Yeah.
You should.
No. There are parts about season 1 I still like, and I would still defend it. But yeah, don't get me wrong. It goes off a cliff when the other seasons come around. But there are odd things like give me a good sword fight in a show. I can really enjoy that show. Like I don't need good acting in a Jackie Chan movie. If you give it or the classic Jackie Chan movie, I should say, give me those good fight scenes, and I love them.
Well, because Mauler, you just released our EFAP movies review of Mask of Zorro, didn't you? And I watched some of that, and I remembered how much I fucking enjoyed that movie, and how there were just some wonderful sword fights in that, like genuinely great fun to watch.
We do. Conclude, I think it's the number 1 for the entire arc, I think, or it comes close to it, right? For enjoyability,
it's up there. Yeah,
it was fucking it reminds me of The Mummy. Those two films having
same vibe.
They have like everything in them.
Who thought, like, because The Mummy was released very close to Phantom Menace, who thought that The Mummy would turn out to be a better movie? Because it did. I never saw that coming, but
it's had its 25th anniversary re-release in movie theaters. And people are going to see it, and that's just a great way to spend your evening.
Mask of Zorro is great. Did you ever see? I mean, these are silly movies, but did you ever see Maverick with Mel Gibson?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Maverick's
I
awesome.
love Maverick. That's great.
That's a remake, and that's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah,
that's James Garner that's in that, isn't it?
Yes.
That was
James
one of his
Garner,
last
Richard
movies.
Donner directed it. Jodie
Dude,
Foster's
him
in
fucking
it.
throwing
She's playing
out
a straight girl.
Him with the Zack Snyder slow-mo throwing out the ace of spades at the
Yeah,
end.
dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
my
just
God,
watched. I
dude.
just watched it. Ran across. I'm like, I haven't seen this movie forever. I
haven't watched
freaking
it
loved it.
50 I
It
haven't
was
watched
It's,
it
so
the, it's the
good.
coolest name as
years.
well. Fucking Brett Maverick.
Brett
Like,
Maverick.
that's just.
I've watched this
that's
shit
awesome.
forever, and so many scenes like stand out very vividly in my head. That shit
Yeah.
was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
People keep asking mentioned Arcade. Everyone knows about Arcade. Yes, very good video game adaptation. Probably the best one right now, I think.
I haven't watched it yet.
What is
Yeah,
what is your favorite video game adaptation that you've
Yeah,
seen?
that's
out
what
of
I'm
It
saying.
would be
everything?
Arcane, yeah.
Arcane for you? 'Cause
It-
mine is Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat came out a couple of years ago. I just thought it was a fun movie, fun as hell. Some people said it was fucking terrible. I didn't care. I thought it got Mortal Kombat right. I like that Mortal Kombat, and I don't think there's been a great video game adaptation. Although I haven't seen Arcane.
There
but
still hasn't.
So,
Yeah,
so the
I-
thing about Arcane that's interesting is that like it took like if you've played League of Legends, you'd be like Arcane isn't remotely referencing the video game in the sense of mechanics or in any way, shape, or form. You know, like at least Tomb Raider would have a rating of Tomb or something, but Arcane is like a strict story driven by characters that they've all developed from the original game, but padded out a lot and given like huge histories too. And it's like its own thing. Just for reference, anybody, because this question has to be answered every time, is like, I don't know anything about League of Legends. It's like, you don't. In fact, it might stand in the way of understanding Arcane, so don't worry about it. Just go right in. It's an animated TV show. It's fucking brilliant. And season 2 is coming out by the end of the year. It's one of the most
Really?
hyped things. Yes.
Oh, sweet.
I
Pixels.
watched
that's
that. Oh God, Pixels! I watched that Knuckles series on Paramount Plus. It is horrifically bad. It is almost not about Knuckles or Sonic or like Sonic and Tails are almost not in it. Knuckles is barely in it. It's about like the fucking random, really stupid, kind of overweight sheriff's deputy guy from the first couple of movies.
I really watched like because I know there was a whole bunch of like really shit video game adaptations in the 2000s. Most of them made by Yui Ball,
Yeah.
like House of the Dead and stuff. I feel like I need to experience them just to see how bad they are.
In the name of the king.
In
the name of
Did
the
anyone-
king.
Is that actually a video game
That
adaptation?
is a video game
Yes.
adaptation of Dungeon Siege. What about? Did you guys ever watch Double Dragon? Like that old.
I
movie?
heard that was fucking terrible.
I
that was
saw
one
a
of those
review of it, I think. I don't think I
because
saw
that's
it.
a video game adaptation as well. But that's an
Oh.
old one. It's
I
been.
got to talk to you, Evol, on a live stream. That was cool. He wasn't.
Did you?
Yeah, he was pretty cool. Kind
Did,
of
did he acknowledge how shit his movies are? Or is he just like, yeah,
It didn't come up. I mean, like we
It
could.
didn't come on.
It's not my live stream. Just like, what's up, dude? There was some slight joking about it. Like he's aware of it, but it was
Well, yeah, he boxes
a year
his
ago.
critics, right? Wasn't that his thing?
yeah.
Respect.
Who's excited for Borderlands?
Oh, I
Oh,
hate the way
gosh.
it looks.
That was
I-
a weird trailer.
It's a
Really
really
weird.
geriatric cast as well.
Borderlands looks fucking terrible.
Doesn't it?
Oh my
Looks
god.
shite. I
It
mean,
just
I
looks like,
reckon-
hey, let's try to be as Guardians of the Galaxy as possible.
Hmm.
But with an
Uh,
older cast, it's very much like uncle at a wedding. Like, look, I can be too.
Oh,
I can be cool.
This
Yeah.
is a
I
video
get down
game.
with the
Wait,
kid.
this is a video game.
Oh.
Twisted Metal. I kind
Yeah,
of like
yeah.
that show. I thought it was pretty cool. It was like 7 out of 10. It was kind of fun. Never played
It's-
the game before in my life.
Well, it's
But-
a weird game series to adapt. It's like
Yeah.
trying to, I don't know, like what could you call it? It's like trying to adapt Destruction Derby or fucking Mario Kart or something. Like there's literally
There's
no story to the
Yeah,
game.
it's like how do you adapt fucking like one of those matching games on mobile? Like you're talking about, there's no story, so it's. I never watched it. I know Jeremy said he liked it, but
Yeah, I thought it was
I
fine.
usually trust
it's
anything
not like
he
the
says,
greatest
so.
thing ever. Well, I wouldn't trust Jeremy
Sorry.
at all.
What about like Final
Jeremy has
Fantasy?
Velcro shoes and has pre-torn jeans. I wouldn't trust his taste on anything.
Does,
But
does
I like it.
Final Fantasy count as a video game movie adaptation? Because
Yeah, of course.
Advent Children,
Has to.
What this?
I really like Advent
the-
Children.
I'm just trying to think of a
Advent
good one. I
Children.
can't.
As a
Uh,
fan of Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children was just a weird one. Like it felt like they were just taking some of the greatest hits from Final Fantasy and then stitching it together into
Tron.
a weird story that just felt like a rehash. Like
I just
remember
love the
Sephiroth?
action.
Well, he's back.
I love the action in it. With there was some awesome moments.
Yeah, I mean, they took the action to the next level where people can like throw their friends like 5,000 feet into the air. Like,
it's like they just said, "We don't care. We know it's ridiculous.
yeah.
We're just gonna go ham with the fighting." And I was like, "That's brilliant. I loved it."
I mean, I've absolutely adored the remakes of 7, like especially Rebirth. Like that has been fantastic. Genuinely surprised me by like how much is in it, and it's such a massive step up from the previous game. But anyway, that's a whole other discussion.
But we don't. I mean, I could be wrong. Do we have a consensus on like what the best video game adaptation film is?
I mean, my personal favorite is Doom with Dwayne Johnson. It's a really good masterpiece. He's great in it. It's a wonderful trash movie. It's so entertaining.
If I had to pick a film, it might be the first Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie.
Hey, I went to the chat saying Wing Commander. I went to Wing Commander to see a Phantom Menace trailer, and then I left.
Some people are mentioning Prince of Persia. I was bored with that one.
You want to see the Assassin's Creed movie with
oh my
Fassbender?
gosh, yes,
Michael
I did.
Fassbender, yes.
Oh god.
Oh yeah, that was a thing which existed, wasn't it?
God, that was so weird.
Uncharted with Tom Holland. That was Tom.
That movie, the Assassin's Creed one, feels like it's era-less. Like it didn't come out alongside anything in particular. It was between eras of when things got made. Nobody remembers it.
It was just shorted into existence, and then everyone moved on.
It was so weird how they felt the need to like have him like attached to that thing where he's moving all around, like in the Animus, whereas like we've never seen that in the game before, right? People are just laying down, you're doing it in your head. But for some reason, they needed that one where he's flying all around everywhere.
So someone mentioned Warcraft as well. Did you guys watch that?
Oh, I've seen Warcraft. Warcraft's a fun
I did.
movie.
It is fun. Like I understand for people that are hardcore, like they hate parts of it, but thought it was.
I didn't hate it. Yeah.
I don't remember
okay.
it, but I remember liking it. Thought it was a good movie.
Jesus, that got promoted at Comic-Con like it was.
It was starring the dude who played Ragnar in Vikings, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that directed by David Duncan Jones, David Bowie's kid?
Yeah,
Maybe.
he's the same guy who directed Moon, which Moon's a great movie.
Moon's good.
I love Moon.
Yeah, Moon's really good.
I don't think Pierce Brosnan was in it. So.
People are also
about Ian
mentioning the Hitman movies. It's weird. Like now that we're talking about it, like fuck me, there was loads of video game adaptations.
That the first hit, I was so hyped for the Hitman movie. Timothy Oliphant, right? And like that was at the point in time where I thought he was gonna blow up. Like I thought Timothy Oliphant was gonna be massive, and that didn't happen.
And then he ends up in Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Then he went vegan and like he looks like a fucking #2 pencil now.
Yeah.
Like, did you see how skinny he was in Mandalorian? It's like the fucking wind's gonna blow this dude away.
Weren't Lucasfilm going to do one?
It's like he got old overnight as well. Like he suddenly got gray hair. Like, yeah, it's just like he just aged overnight.
Chat mentioned Angry Birds. That's a video game adaptation, technically.
They made the Emoji movie. Not that that's video games, but damn, the desperation, you know.
Angry Birds goes kind of right along line with like all these other things where it's like there's not much. Like obviously the story is the pig stole the eggs. That's it. Literally it. Pig stole eggs. That is what you have to base an Angry Birds movie off of. And yeah.
Someone just wrote in chat as well. Mortal Kombat. Which
because it's been so long since I've seen these movies, right? But as a kid, you just enjoy dumb action. And so the original Mortal Kombat, the original Street Fighter, I remember enjoying them as a kid. They were just stupid and there was fighting and, you know, Sonya Blade was hot.
The original Mortal Kombat, I think, was quite fun. It was batshit crazy, but it was quite fun. The sequel
Your soul is mine.
What about the Resident Evil movies? At least the first couple.
Mila. I'm with you. They
obviously went really off the fucking rails at some point, but
yeah, I think they treated every movie like it was going to be their last, and so like every time they got commissioned for a new one, they had to like pick up the pieces and try and fucking figure out some other story.
I can't remember if it's like the sixth or seventh. It's the penultimate one. Ends with them all at the White House. Wesker is with them. They're teaming
Yeah,
up
that's the
because an
penultimate.
army of demons is coming to attack, and it's like, yeah, get ready for the next film. Next film begins after it's all over.
Yeah, the White House has been blown apart, and then it's just her like she just digs her way out of the rubble and then
killed
just moves to a different place.
I killed the Kraken off screen.
I think
Oh, God.
the low point of that series was the one where basically everything takes place in virtual reality.
that
Do
might
you
be the
remember
favorite
that one?
That's the one where Leon is introduced, right?
I can't even remember.
I'm pretty sure they really do go insane, but I think the one that's closest to being of like quality is probably the first one.
I'm going to say it's the second one, just because it takes elements of 2 and 3, like Nemesis and stuff. And I'm not holding it up as a good. I'm not holding it up as a good adaptation. I'm just saying it's probably the closest that it gets to the actual Resident Evil games.
I would have argued Nemesis is the reason why people fucking hate that movie, because he fucking falls in love with her at the end.
Yeah,
or whatever, because he's the guy from the first film.
Yeah, Matt from the first one. And
Can I show something real quick?
You can, yeah.
To just prove print is dead. Time magazine, next generation of leaders. Shooty got one.
Wearing a dress
from the magazine that made Hitler Man of the Year.
What's he leading in? Next generation, like the fight against AIDS? What the fuck are we talking about?
Oh, Jesus. He's kind of butched up here, to be honest with you. So.
It's the continued fight against masculinity, trying to normalize men wearing dresses.
New face of Doctor Who.
I think all the power and attention has kind of gone to his head a little bit, because wow, every interview that he does, he just comes across as more of a bell end than the previous one.
I think that happened to the Rings of Power actresses as well, or actors and actresses, when there was one in particular, Sophie and Anvet. Jesus Christ, she was awful for it. But they're nobodies, and then they get this big role, and it goes to their head, and they just lose themselves in the media, and they start talking all sorts of fucking shite.
Yeah. Well, tell you what, before we finish up, should we do a few super chats?
Yeah.
All right. There's a ton here. There's a question, first of all, from Adonijah for the whole panel. What's your favorite surrogate father-daughter relationship in fiction? For me, it's either Joe and Ellie from The Last of Us Part 1 or Lee and Clementine from Telltale's The Walking Dead. It's a very video game focused one.
Yeah, the problem with Ellie and Joel is that, like, if you just take the first one, it's like 100%. What a great story. But then it's tough to remove the second part of the story from that.
Is it?
Well, I mean, what I mean is, if you're actually going to take it as totality, if you're just talking about one story, then yeah, sure. But there's technically more to the story, according to Neil Druckmann. So,
I might say Arcane with Vi and I forget his name now, but I love Vanden. Yeah, is that his name?
Vanda. And funnily enough, I would say, like, I love their relationship. I also love Silco and Jinx, how complicated and chaotic. It was like a complete invert, but had the same issues, and he has to make the same choice. Watch Arcane, everybody. It's really good.
Somebody in the chat said Batman and Robin.
Yes. Oh, I don't know. That's something I think about.
I don't know about
True
daughter,
Grit.
but
That's a good one. I'll steal that one from chat. True Grit.
Yeah. If it had been like father son,
Giles and Buffy.
Oh yeah, that's fair actually. Yeah,
Giles and Buffy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If it had been father son, I probably would have picked the father and son from Life is Beautiful, where it's like they've been sent off to the concentration camps in World War II, and like the father is like inventing all these elaborate games to try and shield his son from like the reality of what's actually going on around him, and ultimately ends up giving up his own life to keep his son safe. That's being a dad right there, which is pretty fucking awesome. And I feel like Hollywood would just not be prepared to show us stuff like that anymore. So that probably would have been my pick. But I think what the original question was like father-daughter surrogate relationships. So I'll go
It's
with
very
your guys'
specific.
suggestion.
It's very specific.
Yeah.
I would have gone Miyagi and Daniel from the Karate Kid. It's
Mm.
really good surrogate
Oh,
relationship
that's a good
because
one.
Daniel's very lost in the world and he's all over the place. And then Miyagi, it's not just that he teaches him fighting; he kind of teaches him to be a man, just calm down and relax and all this. That one's great.
Remember,
and
like,
chemistry.
remember like older male mentor characters? They were
Good
nice.
Will Hunting, those type of movies.
Yeah, the closest I've seen to that recently has been The Holdovers, which was a nice movie. Paul Giamatti was really good in that. That was good.
Yeah,
but that's a pretty rare thing these days.
Really rare thing these days.
Good father-son relationship, Vader and Luke. You know.
Oh yeah, classic. Yeah, very healthy.
Yeah.
Surrogate father Palpatine, Anakin.
To be fair to Vader, he did try to make up for lost time. Like he offered to Luke, let's rule the galaxy together as father and son. We'll play catch.
Look at the bonding time they could have had with that.
So he tried. He tried to make up for it.
I want an alternate reality where, like, they really do try and make up for lost time, and like, Vader takes Luke to like bowling and stuff, and like teaches him fishing and stuff. Complains about sand to him. Like, I want that.
Fish gets away, and Vader grabs it with the Force. Like, I got you, buddy. Here we go. There we go.
He just like does Force lightning into the stream and just kills everything.
They go swimming at the beach, and Vader's like breathing shorts out. Like,
help me, son. Derek says, "My dear Sauron, wigs truly are amazing creatures. You could learn all there is to know about their ways in a month, but then after 100 years, they can still disguise you."
Oh, that's gonna go on till the show comes out.
I love it. I love
it. Shooter says, "Drinker, the US debt is now around $31 trillion. Thanks for all your great content. I'm going to go away now. I listen and drink some Johnny Walker."
All of your money is based on nothing.
Yeah, I thought it was 37 trillion. Maybe we're in better shape than I thought. So,
oh yeah, you're doing great now.
Let's give Ukraine some more money. Fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like going back to my little summary, I think in 1995 the US debt was 0.7 trillion, and now it's 31 trillion. So wow, yeah, that's impressive.
Come a long way.
Just a number. It's just a number. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's Christian Stamos says, "Hi everyone. I appreciate everything that you all do. Have a super chat in celebration of my brother's wedding day today." Wow,
Hey,
congratulations to your brother, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I hope it works out, but if it doesn't, he's got to get that first one out of the way.
Yeah.
Think of it as a trial.
Very encouraging, Gary.
Thank you.
It's a trial run. Just think of it that way.
Yeah.
May as well just get divorced and remarried immediately, so you're on that second one, the strong one.
Well, you know when you've got a boss battle that you have to do in a game, and like you kind of fuck up early. It's like, I'll just quit out of this one, start again. Maybe it's
just
like
remember, you can sell your comic collection to a friend for $1 and then buy it back. Just so you know.
Poopa,
protect those assets. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Poopa Chalupa says, "I thoroughly look forward to the Rings of Power reviews." I think we all look forward to making them, really.
Oh, it was a joy. It was an absolute joy to get back into that.
It was fun, but it was also like a slog. Some of those were hard to get through.
Oh, the
fact
episodes?
that we can't remember.
The episodes, like, it took
The
me
fact that
2
we-
hours sometimes to just get through one because I had to pause so many times because of the crap and taking notes.
The fact that we can't remember anything about the,
Yeah,
about
that's
the first
crazy.
season is kind of
Well, there's a character I was convinced was dead, and apparently she's still alive.
Tid Stout for Bronwyn. Yeah.
Does anybody
that's brain
remember
damage for you?
during the first episode, Amazon purposely put in a commercial to start rolling, and then you had to restart your episode?
Yeah, like 17 minutes in, it like auto kicked you or whatever. Yeah.
And
I
Build
think
up
you
that
guys have
minute
noticed
watch.
that as well. Like the number of commercials on Amazon shows has skyrocketed in the past month or two.
Oh,
Well,
Ryan has said it. We're all going to be watching commercials and paying for streaming. That's it. That's coming.
Yeah. There is, I think at some point they're just going to phase out the premium tier. That's going to become the price for the ad-based tier, and they're just going to force us to watch commercials, and that's going to be it. because
will they not like have a mega platinum tier where you don't get commercials and it's like you pay?
Yeah,
like
it's called physical media.
Yeah.
Physical media is your mega platinum tier.
They're going to make it bifurcated. So if you want no ads, it'll be super expensive so that they can just shove you towards ads where they'll make more money. But I mean, Nerdrotic's right. Like Gary's right. Physical media at this stage, you'll get a better deal financially. It's better value for money, physical media, to just buy
Sounds
used
better.
DVDs.
Yeah.
It also preserves it better. You get
Preserves
what
it better. You
paid
get some
for
cool
it,
little
and
packaging. You get a little
You actually
booklet.
own
They
something.
can't patch it.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
remove
but-
problematic scenes.
Here's the problem is physical media is not going to be around 10 years from now. Like the shit that will be coming out 10 years from now will not be available in
It'll be
physical media.
it'll be artisanal and bootleg.
It'll be like fucking people that buy vinyl shit now. Like that's how it'll be, because
That's me.
they're not selling it at Best Buy anymore. Like they're taking that out. Walmart's going to take it out eventually too. Like it's just not
There
long
is
for
a
the world.
There is a great. It's missing one thing, but there's I think it's Shout Factory did a great box set of Evil Dead. So you get Evil Dead 2, and Ash versus Evil Dead. Don't know why Army of Darkness isn't in there. It's probably some rights issues thing, but the box set is beautiful. And if you haven't watched Ash versus Evil Dead, one of the greatest shows ever made.
It's really good. Yeah.
Highly recommend it. I was
Yeah,
just watching it. That's what was on my mind.
Drinker, you were very in favor of Midnight Mass, right? There's no physical version of that still.
Really?
Yeah, you can get the soundtrack.
There's also no physical version of Willow, which like I was devastated.
Did you see the new version of Willow either? That show is now literally, as well as it's unwatchable.
Netflix is absolutely weird with they did season 1 of Stranger Things. I don't think they did any seasons after. Maybe they did. One Piece, pretty popular. They do a soundtrack of like all their dog shit shows. They don't do a soundtrack for One Piece. They make nothing from Netflix makes sense. They have a little shop. It's got like 9 things in it.
I mean, it kind of negates the entire purpose of Netflix if they put out their, you know what I mean? They put out their shit on physical
I don't
media.
even know that that's true. I think a lot of people who have physical versions, if they've got their streaming service up, they'll be like, I'll just pop it on there. As much as it may be slightly worse in fucking bitrate or whatever, like it's whatever. I think a lot of people just want to own this stuff. The idea that it's like, oh, we couldn't possibly, if they did like a special collector's box set of Stranger Things, I feel like it would sell.
I think you can do
Netflix
little
fucking
tiny
started off as a DVD rental company as well. Like,
I think you can do little niche things like that, but think about them, right? They are just streaming. They don't fucking, obviously they started off by mailing out DVDs, but they don't sit there and have a bunch of deals in place for everything they're making, because most of the shit they have, they don't even own. So like comparatively, they have very few original things that are theirs. So why would having all these deals with major distributors for physical media make sense for them?
Yeah, Daredevil's on Blu-ray because of
Marvel.
Because of Marvel, not because of Netflix. They did some stuff, but season 1 of Stranger Things has this cool VHS case. It's one of the best, good packaging is good, but it sucks. So you'll have to just make your own. You can't. So if don't get a burner, and you can,
we don't condone piracy here.
It's not difficult though. It's not.
Well, I was going to say, I wonder if a new market will appear where there's just well-known outlets that make fake physical copies, if you know what I mean, like not official ones.
Comic-Con and China. But just to let you know, like the professional, I worked in Blu-ray and DVD production at Technicolor, and the program we used was Nero, and I was specifically told never to sign in to the account. We couldn't sign into the account of freaking Nero. So that's what all your Blu-rays and DVDs were burned on, from Paramount to HBO to Disney in 2011 to 2012.
Yeah. And in case people are missing, Nero is a program anyone could get access to and use back in the
day.
Yeah.
I used the fuck out of that in high school.
Nero was great.
Feliz Omida says, it's like they plucked the writers from a secondary school English class. Creative writing completely devoid of symbolic meaning and shoehorned writing techniques without saying anything with it. Yeah, that pretty much sums up Rings of Power right there.
Rings of Power right there, yep.
Rated M says, wonder if Ryan Condal was supposed to do Conan for Amazon had anything to do with House of the Dragon trailer coming out right after Rings of Power. I think it had a lot to do with it, really.
Uh-huh.
I would imagine he's on a bit of a revenge trip right now.
They haven't shied away, right? Like they
love
waited till Amazon announced the premiere date for Rings of Power, and then they came out with the dates for House of the Dragon. They wanted to go head to head.
Yeah, and that really works well for marketing as well, though. It's not just, it is to spite Amazon, and they should spite Amazon. They should spite Jennifer Salke because fuck them. But at the same time, it's good marketing to make it look like there's a big sort of head-to-head battle going on.
Especially when you're the clear winner, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not so much as a battle as them just clubbing baby seals over their head. It's just
they're beating up the retarded kid right now. Larry says, panel, describe season 2 with a Rings of Power metaphor, i.e. the stench of season 2 shall blow away like poop stank from an outhouse in a storm.
Well,
So the way it's going to work out, unless Rings of Power does a 2-episode premiere, is penultimate episode for House of the Dragon comes out before the premiere episode for the Rings of Power. Then there's the House of the Dragon finale right after that. So they will be going up head to head for about a week.
It'd be so funny if House of Dragon said, with the leg, we want to.
Do it.
I would actually love that. I would
be for that 100%.
I think we have to thank you for the super chat, but I believe if you want a metaphor, you can't say that something is like something. That'd be a simile. So a metaphor for Rings of Power would be like season 2 of Rings of Power will be complete and total bullshit. Like that would be your metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
It will be that.
Yeah.
Or it is that.
I'm going to borrow a quote from Echo Chamberlain. Season 2 of Rings of Power is catching your reflection in the monitor while you're watching Pornhub. Feeling the absolute shame.
Man, that's an oddly specific burn right there.
Self-report.
Yeah. UP Shoot says, Gary, please have everyone wear wigs tomorrow.
Oh,
do that for FNT.
Oh fuck, that'll be really good. Make sure
no one will know who you are.
I don't have a fucking wig.
Yeah,
Ryan, I actually, there's lots of wigs in my house because I'm married to a hairdresser, so that's possible.
Fair enough.
Ryan, if your hair was a bit longer, you would just have the perfect evil Sauron look about you.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of got it right there. It's like slick back.
I could go straight back if we wanted, a little to the side right now. I could go straight back. I've got like the pointed fucking hairline. Yeah, I could be evil as fuck.
Yeah, just get some ears and you're good to go.
I'm gonna have to organize a wig roast for like episode 1 of Rings of Power season 2. Everyone comes in, we wear a wig, and we just trash the first episode.
I think we should do that on open bar as well. We'll get some wigs in.
It's funny because House of the Dragon is like the wig show, like because of all like the crazy Targaryen wigs and shit that they have. Like there's so many wigs in that show, yet the meme is now about Sauron's
well, it
wig.
shows you like they have the craftsmen who, so everybody's been working on House of the Dragon, not to bore you too much, is everybody worked on Game of Thrones as far as crew and art designers and set designers and costumes. So they've been doing this shit for a decade. They know what they're doing. And that's why you could put some crazy wig on Matt Smith and it looks 1,000 times better than the company that technically has more money, a lot more money. So yeah, it's about craftsmanship, and HBO just knows what they're doing, you know?
In the first season with all the time jumps, the wigs were like drastically different episode to episode.
Yeah.
Like to show different, like to make it very clear there's a change in time and stuff like that.
How fucking bizarre is it that we're sitting on open bar talking about wigs?
That's not what I expected from the Rings of Power season 2. The big takeaway was wigs.
Wig technique.
It's great though.
Yeah, Raptor in New Mexico says Rings of Power is so bad that Critical Drinker is now sober. That's never going to happen. It's never going to get that bad. Council of the Rings says, Council here, I can confirm 99% of the show is made up. In many cases, anti-Tolkien, actually. Also, why I rated season 1 0.5 out of 10 in my reviews. It's an absolute disgrace. Wow. Brutal.
Are you gonna share it, Gary? I can't.
No, I can't share it. I don't want to get. It's kind of Carl got in trouble with that word, that term. So never mind. Let's move on.
Okay.
I'm laughing. The chat.
I know the term you're thinking of,
Yes,
Gary.
it's in the chat. Scroll up and take a look.
Yeah.
Yes. Our good friend Carl got into a little bit of trouble from that, but all right.
Lord of the Rings nerd says, "Hail to you all! As a lifelong Lord of the Rings fan, that looked like ass. That looked like ass, and all the lore breaking in this show pisses me off. Maybe I should make a YouTube channel, huh? Yes, do it.
Do
Go
it.
for it.
This is going to launch more careers. That's the one good thing.
It's the next generation of
Dude,
YouTubers.
I can't wait for the content from Acolyte and Rings of Power. It's going to be just top tier. It's going to be
a busy time.
Yes.
Busy time.
Oh yeah. Unfunny German says, so Drinker doesn't understand why Hollywood wants women to look like 12-year-old boys, eh? Well, I mean that's Hollywood for you, I suppose. I don't work there, so only they can tell us why. But...
Well, the fashion industry's been trying to do that remember when models used, like, the supermodels were hot and looked like women, and then over time they just got like more emaciated and skinny and starting to look like 12-year-old boys.
Well, yeah, now they've gone the opposite way with those models. So
and they just made them boys.
No, now they're just fucking whales.
Okay, okay, that's true.
All I can say is if I had to choose between Zendaya or Haley Atwell, I know which direction.
Haley Atwell, Elle Macpherson. Anybody remember Elle Macpherson? Damn.
Yeah.
Was she 20 out of 10?
Was it her or Chrissy Brinkley that was doing the Total Gym commercials with Chuck Norris like 25 years ago?
I think. Oh, I don't know. I
think
that was Chrissy Brinkley.
I think it was Chrissy Brinkley too. Yeah.
That's the single greatest infomercial of all time, by the way.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, if Chuck Norris tells you to buy something, you fucking buy it, and then you bow and thank him for his advice, and then leave. Jason Stiles says, my theory is that Celeborn is dead and Sauron will disguise himself as Celeborn and their love child will be Celebrian. Well, could be. Never put anything past them. Jeff Peterson says, curious of your gents' takes on the Nielsen data regarding Rings of Power, or in general. I'm under the impression that it doesn't paint the full picture with viewership numbers, etc. Well, it never can because it's a streaming service, so you're not going to get Nielsen data for it.
Yeah, like good luck trying to figure out like a billion trillion minutes watched.
Well, we do get Nielsen data for streaming, right?
Yeah.
But Nielsen technology is like pretty antiquated, right? It's literally like they have the little devices that are in a couple people's houses that listen to the shit you tune into, and they might put it in 10,000 houses in America in different places and regions and different demographics and extrapolate based on that.
Chrissy's a Nielsen.
Now your fucking cell phone listens to everything that you say.
That's true, but they're still doing it because Chrissy Mayer is a Nielsen household.
Yeah, like a year ago or whatever, they sent her one of those things.
They still do it.
They still do that. That's how they do it. And we get the Nielsen streaming ratings about 4 weeks after something actually comes out. But when you look at Rings of Power, like the problem was it was getting beat pretty consistently or just barely edging out House of the Dragon during its run. The problem was House of the Dragon was also being watched by like 20 million plus more people per episode on HBO.
On linear TV.
On linear television, like on top of streaming.
After a disastrous season. That cannot be undersold.
Yeah. After Game of Thrones season 8 was just a miserable failure. Well, ratings wise, it was incredible, but very poorly received.
Yeah.
Does anybody know House of Dragon's audience retention rate? Because with Rings of Power, it was about 33%.
Oh, it
37.
I know that
37.
For House of the Dragon, it was going up episode to episode, at least for the first couple. I don't know about the end, but it was increasing in viewership. So,
yeah. David Brennan says, Mauler, please. They're called the Nazgals.
Yeah, I mean, I have to respect that.
Nazgirls, Nazgals, either one works, really.
Chris Gibson says, why didn't Amazon do the story of Beren and Luthien? Literally, Luthien saves Beren from the Thud, Sauron, and her beauty and song ensnares Morgoth and his whole court. She's perfect for them.
They don't have the rights.
No, pretty good answer, actually. Next one. Sorry, I'm just scrolling down here. Curtis Hart says it's going to be aliens that attack. I mean, yeah, sure.
This year, like before the election? Yeah, probably.
Zodlander says, in my opinion, the wizard won't be Gandalf. It's going to be Saruman going on a redemption arc before he became evil. Fuck the Rings of Power. Hail to the real fellowship.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
Tough to go on a redemption arc thousands of years before you fall, but
Yeah,
I can sense that I'm going to do bad stuff in the future, so I'm going to build up some cred.
So they'll make some part like I'm gonna go evil later, but I'm gonna do something now to make up for it. Like, how do you even do that?
balance the
Retroactive.
cosmic scales. Yeah.
Now that sounds like a good movie plot.
Yes.
There you go.
If they made him Saruman, though, that would just be dumb at this point. 'cause
Redemption.
They've signaled him too hard to be Gandalf, especially with that last line. No.
There's no one they can make him that will be satisfying at this point because it's all bullshit. Anyway, it's just all fan fiction. You're never going to.
I guess it's kind of close to the plot of fucking Dune when Paul like knows he's gonna do these fucking terrible things and is desperately trying to avoid it, and then just falls right into doing it anyway. But not as bad as it could be, I suppose.
Yeah.
No. And Bobby Preet Singh says, "Hello, Mauler. I recently saw all of the EFAP DCEU movies. Can you please do a Joker impression? It's very on point. Love the Three Musketeers EFAP, one of my childhood guilty pleasures."
You talking about the fucking Jared Leto one?
Sure, go with that.
Motherfucker that went, "I'm an idea." Fuck that one. That's already most of his lines from most of the DC films.
Oh my god, you're now damaged, Mauler, for doing that.
Oh, at least we're past that, you know.
I mean, yeah, that's probably an era of filmmaking that we can safely say goodbye to. So
Now
there's
we have
that.
Rebel Moon.
Was that the worst? Was that the worst comic book performance? Jared Leto Joker.
Certainly the worst Joker, worst comic book character performance ever, maybe.
It might have been, yeah. No, Draddock, were you doing that guy? Kill her.
Oh god.
Kill her.
Do it.
Kill
her.
I'm gonna try to meme the shit out of that on my video.
They've really picked a banger for that actor. Like, wow. Yeah, Rebel Moon. Anyway, gentlemen, I want to finish up there because we've been going for almost 3 hours now. But I want to say thank you guys for coming on for this tonight. It's been a spectacular open bar. I think we had like over 16,000 people watching, so that's all very good. I was going to say as well, like in terms of like things that you guys might want to make us aware of, I know off the top of my head, Mauler, you've got a plushie out at the moment, haven't you?
I, as well as Gary, we're our team with As an X-Ray Girl, our real BBC plushies that have, I believe, 2 days left actually for realsies. Like that is absolutely it's the deadline. If you want to grab us up,
yeah, mods. If you guys are there, well, I'm sure you are. Would you possibly be able to put the link to Mauler and Gary's plushies up in the chat, and I will share that with everyone. Oh, there we go.
Very cuddly.
There we go. Yeah, less than 2 days to order, so you can get them there. Real BBC. Yeah, does anyone else have anything that you guys want to make us aware of before we sign off for the evening?
Not yet, but I have something coming. I have something in the works that will be pretty cool to share with people. But that's in about a week or two. But
nice.
You man, a mystery shed.
Yeah, I don't got shit going on. Check out my channel.
I got a video out.
Yes.
Yeah. Just on that note, I have a video coming out in 9 minutes. It'll be released on Shadowversity. I'm reviewing the most expensive sword I've ever received. It's a very fancy katana. It's $3,000. This thing, something happens to it in the review. You'll have to watch to find out. But it's
don't tell me you snap it.
I'm not saying, but something happens to it.
I'll be doing an analysis of the 1979 British masterpiece Scum, which I'll be releasing in a few days.
Ooh, cool.
Oh, that's the Ray Winston one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you went on a tangent about that, like during your review of like a different film, because like fucking anything to avoid talking about this piece of garbage.
Yeah, I was better than talking about Damsel.
Yeah,
I bet.
Damsel, that was it. Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Thanks for everyone who's super chatted, and thank you to my mods for doing the usual awesome work that they always do. We will catch up on any super chats that we've missed on Sunday night. But for now, from the open bar, that's all we got for today. Go away now.
Bye.
Cheers.
Yes.
Bye bye.